Contemporary ballet, Native American, and folk dance ensembles. September 25th through 27th at the Marriott Center. Tickets at byuonstage.com.
Today, we should get up to 88 degrees, more of the same tomorrow. It cools off as we head toward the weekend. Good chance of rain on Friday. Right now, partly cloudy and 75 degrees downtown.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints turns 101 years old today. During the pandemic, President Russell M. Nelson encouraged church members to read in their scriptures daily.
Our Father knows that when we are surrounded by uncertainty and fear, what will help us the very most is to hear His Son.
President Nelson is the oldest living leader of a worldwide religion and has already lived longer than any other leader of the Salt Lake-based church. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Roblox is facing intense criticism from parents and a lawsuit from at least one state over some attempted protectors for children. ABC's Jim Ryan.
Roblox now requires subscribers to submit a selfie when they sign up to verify the player's age.
It makes everyone feel better, about the fact that they have a facial recognition component,
says criminologist Dr. Alex Del Carmen.
The reality is that there are so many loopholes.
In the end, he says parents can turn off the Roblox feature that enables their kids to communicate with strangers. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 0.1%, 54 points to 45,574. Coming up, it's going to be windy today and cooler temperatures coming later this week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
There's a photo my wife took of me, sitting crisscross on the floor playing Legos with my boys. Might not sound like much, but back in 2020, I couldn't get down there without pain, let alone enjoy it. After 16 weeks on soda and 82 pounds gone, that picture means everything. It's proof that I'm not just present in my kid's life, but I'm active, engaged, and I'm healthy. Soda didn't just give me a plan. They gave me a partner, a personal nutritionist who helped me every step. Through grocery store trips, family vacations, late night cravings, you name it. If you're a parent who wants to be there, not just someday, but right now, go to sodaweightloss.com. Click the Request a Nutritionist callback. That's sodaweightloss.com. SOTA stands for state of the art. sodaweightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Worried about market losses? If headlines are keeping you up at night, it's time to take control. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I know you've worked hard to save. But in times like these, what if can turn into what now? If you're planning to retire or are in retirement, you need a strategy that helps protect your future. At Trajan Wealth, you can capture market gains, protect your account from losses, and guarantee income for life. Right now, you could receive a bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. You heard me right. An upfront bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10%, all guaranteed to boost your lifetime income in retirement. Don't leave your future to chance. Plan with confidence. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company, DBA, in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age. making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Traffic and weather together is brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account. Let's hear from Heather Kelly.
Well, we still have this crash northbound I-15 at University Avenue in Provo. Now, the original one involved 3 vehicles. They're over on the left shoulder. And just a few minutes ago, 4 more vehicles pulled up behind it. So I think there was a secondary crash behind this original one. So they're also on the left shoulder, but now you got a whole slew of vehicles over there, and that's really gumming up the works coming out of Spanish Fork through Provo all the way toward University Parkway in Orem. Then you're going to have more delays as you get into the Salt Lake Valley from Draper all the way into South Salt Lake, really, really slow in the Midvale area. Use Superior Water and Air for all your HVAC and water treatment needs. Call 974-9090 or visit superiorwaterandair.com. Superior Water and Air, we got this. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, today, KSL weather will be breezy with some possible showers in the afternoon. Highs in the upper 80s. Tomorrow actually looking pretty similar to today. Right now, it's mostly cloudy and 75 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
A Utah task force is studying ways to ensure that men and boys in Utah thrive. It targets health, vocation, sense of purpose, and although it's still in the early stages, Holly, the group is convinced that suicide rates, mental health issues, career, and other factors can all be improved if they have what they're calling a clear picture of where some men are struggling and how they can be helped.
You know, it's interesting. We talk about gender gap, and we usually mean where women are falling behind men, and that can be anything from wages to,
promotion,
right, and leadership, etc. But in this particular case, we're talking about a gender gap for men and boys, and it's something that has been a concern that has been increasing across the country, and Utah is no exception. So this task force will be co-chaired by 2 people. One of them is Amy Winder Newton, and the other one is Nick Dunn, who's the Vice President of Strategy and a Senior Fellow at the Sutherland Institute. And Nick joins us on the phone right now to talk to us a little bit more about this. Hi, Nick.
Good morning. Good to be with you both.
Yeah, seriously, this was an interesting study and one that came out of the blue, at least for me, Nick. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about it? The task force?
Yeah, of course. So I think it's important to frame this initially that when we talk about these issues in Utah, we always have to remember that Utah is known, we're renowned across the nation as having a strong economy, so a strong work ethic and educational attainment for our population, strong families, and strong faith participation among our residents. And these things, in a lot of ways, you can view as kind of the pillars of a thriving life, the pillars of a happy life. Happiness expert Arthur Brooks talks about his happiness portfolio research of faith, family, community, and work. And so looking at those things that kind of make Utah stand out, there is an increasing recognition of some concerning data trends showing that a significant number of men seem to be maybe kind of drifting from those life anchors. And so that's what we really want to be diving into through the work of this task force and the work that Sutherland Institute is doing. And we've been collecting information and data and having conversations about this. And we're in the process now of starting to share some of that with more to come in the future. So it's really just this recognition of, are men in Utah and across the nation for that matter thriving? For those who are not, for those who are struggling, what are they experiencing and what might we be able to do to help?
You know, one of the numbers that struck me from your survey from earlier this summer was that 36% of men said they weren't sure of their place in society. I mean, that's a little bit more than a third, not sure where they fit in. What do you make of that?
Yeah, that was the most striking finding to me as well, that over a third, the way I would describe it simply, are struggling to understand their purpose in life. And we look at that in context of other findings in the survey data showing that anywhere from 1 in 5 to 1 in 3, depending on the issue, of American men report struggling across various domains. And another example of that is about a third or so say that they don't really have anyone close to them that they can talk to if they're dealing with something difficult. Similar percentages show that similar number of men would say that it's a sign of weakness to talk to a mental health professional or a spouse if they're struggling with their own mental health. And so I think what we need to take away from this is that, number one, overall, the data shows that most men are doing okay. Report good mental and physical health, report engagement with work and family and faith communities. But there is a silent, struggling subset that is significant enough that we really need to pay attention to it. And that's why at the task force, we've sort of identified 3 key buckets of areas that we want to focus on, which are health, vocation, and purpose. So mental and physical health, and then vocation, which would be educational attainment and work opportunities, and purpose, which in some ways is the most nebulous, but also I think the most important, because so many of these conversations we're having come back to there is a significant number of men that are essentially saying, I don't know what I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to do, what is my role in society? And that's something that it's going to take a lot of work to figure out.
You said something that hit home really closely, Nick, and that is that men don't typically reach out to others, either their spouses or mental health professionals, because they see it as a weakness. Is there something that you all think can be done with respect to this task force to make that less of a discomfort to men, to some way to make that seem more normal, more appropriate?
Sure, it's an excellent question. It's one that goes to the heart of the years-long effort here in Utah and across the nation to try and address the mental health crisis, reduce suicides, and eliminate stigma around mental health. And it is a tough question to answer, but I think a good place for us to start as a state is, one, recognizing where there are some efforts that are successful in that regard. At Sutherland Institute, we have a weekly podcast called Defending Ideas, which I get to host for us, and it's a lot of fun, but we have really important conversations about these kinds of topics. And we had a gentleman on who founded and runs a nonprofit called the I Love You Bro Project, which is dedicated to helping create spaces for men to come and discuss whatever mental health challenges they might be dealing with in a way that is intended to sort of remove that shame and stigma. And it's a fascinating conversation, and their model is fascinating because it's designed to recognize that reluctance that some of these men feel with talking to a professional or even their spouse to create these sort of male cohort spaces where men can connect with one another. So I think those male spaces where they can feel like, well, I'm just among the guys, and this guy over here is talking about it, so I feel empowered to talk about it too. I think we need to look at those kinds of things and see, are there lessons we can learn to apply to our broader mental health system, and also culturally to try and view it as, in the same way that I would go to a doctor or go to the gym to try and strengthen my physical fitness and health, what can I do to strengthen my mental fitness and health? And I think we need to reframe the discussions in that way.
All right, I have the $1 million question for you, Nick. Is this going to pit men against women?
No. We've been very intentional to say that this effort, it's really not about men versus women. It's not about us versus them. To be honest, I personally, I'm not as concerned with the percentages on either side. I don't think this should be sort of a battle of percentages of, well, one group is getting ahead and the other's falling behind, and what do we need to do to equalize those percentages across any domains? I don't think that's the right approach. I am concerned about those numbers to the extent that they are pointing towards underlying lack of flourishing or lack of thriving. I'll give you a good example. One of our podcast episodes on this topic, we talked about the decline in enrollments and completions in higher ed among men relative to their female counterparts. And a good way that I would think about that issue is if fewer men are going to college and graduating from college, the problem is not that the percentages are off, that, well, we need to have it be 50-50. I don't think that's the key problem. The problem is that indicative of men sort of pulling back from higher education generally, or pulling back from vocational opportunities generally because of this kind of malaise or lack of purpose. And that's where we need to be looking. So I think we can look at these things where we ask, imagine we sat down with every young man, every man in the state and said, how are you doing? Are you thriving? Are you flourishing? And if they said no, and here's why, then we have a conversation about, well, what can we do as a society to help that improve? I don't think that needs to negatively affect any of the other good and appropriate things we have done as a state and nation to create equality of opportunity and wonderful opportunities for everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining us. That was Nick Dunn, and he is he's a senior fellow at Sutherland Institute and the vice president of strategy.
We'll absolutely follow up on that study and what the task force does. That's really interesting.
Yeah, look, I have to tell you, this is a nightmare story. A young woman was impaled by a piece of rebar that came flying through the windshield up near Deer Creek. We'll get the latest developments from the Utah Highway Patrol next.
Amanda, I'm always on the hunt for a deal where I get the highest quality for the best price. I mean, that's what everybody wants, right? But Bedrock Quartz delivers that. They give you the highest end countertops and backsplashes and bathrooms and tiles and all of those things. And right now, you can get the best price ever on what they have.
I love that they've extended this friends and family discount through the month of September. So you literally will pay what an employee of Bedrock Quartz would pay through the month of September. And they did 2 bathrooms at our old place and 1 in our new place. And Andy, there's just nothing like getting in a shower that is as beautiful as it can be with Bedrock Quartz.
You know, if you're in your home and you're not looking to move, but you can still make it feel like new with new countertops or new bathrooms. So right now, when you go into their showroom, the price on the showroom is what it is installed, no additional markup.
And that's true whether it's quartz or quartzite or granite or marble. And they have 100 different options to choose from. So you'll find something you fall in love with.
They're a 4th-generation family-owned countertop company headquartered in Utah since 1976. Check them out online at bedrockquartz.com.
The Social Security Administration just announced they are now projected to run out of money 1 year earlier than expected. Benefits could be cut by as much as 23%. And the average person could lose more than $100,000 in lifetime income. This news could significantly change when you file for Social Security. Discover how you could get every penny out of your benefits with a free Social Security analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $300,000 and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. This free, customized analysis could help you get every penny out of Social Security. Call 801-896-9622. That number again, 801-896-9622.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
Hey guys, it's Woodrow from Mint Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with ED? Well, you are not alone, and now there's a real solution that treats the root cause, not just the symptoms. Introducing our Trifecta approach, a breakthrough combination of acoustic wave therapy, hormone replacement, and cryotherapy, all designed to restore blood flow, boost performance, and rebalance your hormones. Whether it's ED or hormonal imbalance, if you're ready to reignite your love life, this treatment helps bring back your energy, your drive, and your confidence. And right now, when you call, you'll receive a free consultation, a blood flow ultrasound, and an intimacy gift. That's a $650 value, absolutely free. And here's the bonus. The next 20 callers will also receive a 5-night stay at a luxury resort in Hawaii just for taking the first step. But you must call now. With 2 convenient locations in Layton and Sandy, help is closer than you think. Call 801-804-8000 now. That's 801-804-8000. Mint Medical Clinic. We'll get you back to mint condition.
People think saving money is hard, but really, it's easy. It's as simple as changing a few spending habits. For free tips on how to save the easy way, check out feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Comcast Business High Five Hotline. What's the state of your excitement?
I signed my business up for the 5-year price lock guarantee, and I can't stop high-fiving people. High five!
Okay, deep breath.
High five.
You're in a good place. You signed your business up for 5 years of gig speed internet and advanced security, all on our ultra-reliable network.
Gig speeds and advanced security? I'm so stoked.
Yep, and you get it at a great rate that's locked in for 5 years.
Woo!
The high five is just your body's way of saying, I'm winning.
So this is natural.
High-fiving everyone you see in a state of business savings enthusiasm? Totally natural.
Sweet! Thank you! Thank you! High five!
The Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee is back, but only for a limited time, so sign your business up today.
High five!
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 9/21/25 for new customers with qualifying bundle. Current customers may be eligible depending on services and area. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
And expanded Inside Sources.
This is a story, Holly, that you introduced as a nightmare. I mean,
for me,
an 18-year-old woman was impaled Monday morning while driving near Deer Creek Reservoir. She was on Highway 189, which is the route between Heber City and Utah County. I think it's Provo Canyon, technically. It goes through by Sundance or whatnot. Anyway, she's driving up there near Deer Creek Reservoir, and a piece of concrete debris flew off the road, entered her car, and actually pinned her to the passenger side seat of the vehicle she was in.
Like, really, that really is like a nightmare situation for me. And I mean, if she was the passenger, if I were the driver, oh my gosh. I mean, just, ooh. Okay, so enough of Holly's response. We have Lieutenant Cameron Roden from the Utah Highway Patrol here to tell us more about the incident. Welcome, Lieutenant Roden.
Thank you for having me.
Can you give us a little more background on what happened? I mean, we kind of set out just a little bit.
Yeah, it was a pretty good description. Drivers just traveling along on 189, heading northbound, right there by Deer Creek, and we really haven't been able to identify where yet, but a piece of metal looks kind of like rebar or like a concrete stake came over the center median, hit the hood of the car, and it ended up going through the windshield, striking the female passenger. And so she, like you had mentioned, received serious injuries. And so they ended up calling a medical helicopter to respond to the scene, but eventually ended up transporting her by ground from the scene. So 189 was closed for the helicopter to respond. From our last update, it sounds like she's still in serious condition, but we're hoping that things improve and that she can be stabilized.
Yeah, and that's certainly better than critical condition, which is where she was sort of bordering on when we first started hearing about this, Lieutenant. Can you tell us, and I think you answered a little bit, there's got to be some way to determine where this came from or from what vehicle or what type of vehicle it would have fallen off of, if it came from a vehicle.
Yeah, and that's what we're attempting to do now through our crash investigation is identify the origins of this metal bar that came through the windshield. Did it fall off a vehicle? Was it already on the roadway and another vehicle picked it up and sent it over the center divider? Or so we are actually asking for the public's assistance. If anyone was traveling through that area and may have seen something or may have some dash cam and they don't really know it, please look at that and call our dispatch center in Summit County and have that passed on to investigators so they can look at it more fully.
Can I ask you, was there anything that the driver could have done to avoid this situation?
These are one of those things that it's so sudden. You know, the reaction time for that is so, fast that really reacting to it is more of it's going to happen so quickly. So, our best thing is try to prevent anything out on the highway that could cause a risk or cause something like this from happening. So if we can really talk about load securement and make sure that that debris is not out there on the roadway versus having to react to it. We talk a lot about making sure your attention's on driving and spotting hazards that are out there, but this was so freaking so quick that it was he really couldn't react to it.
So let me ask you this: you spoke about obviously drivers being cautious. But the operators of vehicles who are hauling things, it seems like, Lieutenant Roden, and you guys are up on this as much as anyone, that there are too many instances where motorists don't secure loads. I see, for example, ladders that fall off of work trucks periodically, and things that fall into the roadway.
Mattresses, right?
Yeah, and as a motorcyclist myself, though, I mean, they're frightening in a motor vehicle, but in a car or truck, but on a motorcycle, they're life-threatening. And what kind of information do our listeners who are hauling things or moving things need to know in terms of securing their loads?
Yeah, it is. It's something that we deal with regularly. Far too often do we have troopers going out there to either handle a crash that was caused by debris or trying to go out in the middle of the highway and remove debris that puts them at risk, So that's, it causes delays out there in traffic because they have to do slowdowns in order to remove it. So debris is a big problem, and it's something that we have to handle daily on daily occurrences, hundreds of times. So it's something that, it's all of our responsibilities as people out there using the highway to secure any load, even if we think it's funny. People think that mattress is going to stay on top of the car, but it's not. If you don't secure it properly, it's going to come off onto the highway and cause some potential hazards to others. So it's something everybody has to take seriously.
Lieutenant, I'm going to share. I have seen videos of people trying to hold on to the mattress by laying on top of it on their car. So not on the highway, but that's not wise. I wonder if you could just also expand on that a little bit about these road debris cleanups. You said you're out there every day. How often are we seeing really significantly dangerous debris on the road?
I would say daily.
Wow.
If you notice the troopers out there, even just looking at what's along the side of the highway on a daily basis that has to be cleaned up. It's expensive to clean it up. It puts the troopers in a spot where they have to run out there or slow traffic down in order to get it out. So, but I would say it's something that's daily that we investigate either a crash or a potential crash that could have happened.
And I take it that it's almost always the fault of a human. I mean, it's something that where people just aren't securing their loads, or people just aren't watching the roadway close enough, because the highway, as it's designed and as you all make it safe, it doesn't have things on it. But as more and more people drive it and more people operate, more and more items and debris can fall on the highway. And of course, you can't be out picking stuff up all day, but motorists can be aware of this and let you know in some ways, I guess.
Yeah. So, there's going to be the occasional item, like a tire tread that's unforeseen that you're not going to really be able to prevent. But the other items, such as, the garbage or things that are just in the bed of your truck, a ladder, those things that can be prevented by securing them. And over-securing rather than under-securing, because there's times where someone may think it's secure, but not well enough, or it may need an adjustment in the middle of their route that has come loose and they need to stop and readjust that. So, just taking those precautions makes a big difference.
What kind of penalties do you know off the top of your head? What kind of penalties are there for not securing a load?
So that you can be cited for failure to secure a load, but it's also, too, if you lose something out there on the highway that causes a crash, then you could be the liability of the actual crash that it causes as well.
Yeah. Thank you. That was Lieutenant Cam Roden from the Utah Highway Patrol, who seems to be always available to us. And too often we have to deal with situations like this. We've all seen it where you're on the road, and I mean,
I saw it just this morning coming up.
I got a flat tire on my car the other day because it was like some hard metallic thing that, like, off of a motor,
wow.
Like a little, and anyway, when my tire hit it, I knew I was done.
Yeah.
But if I had been on a motorcycle, or even a vehicle maybe traveling really quickly, or pulling a trailer, you get a flat at 60 miles an hour, it can be a real problem. And I've been guilty of it too. I had a bicycle tire on the top of my car that wasn't secured, and it came off, and it was rolling down the road sort of alongside our car at 60 miles an hour. Luckily, nothing happened, but I'm like, oh my gosh. That could definitely cause some problems.
Well, he said, Lieutenant Roden said that they take these calls every day, so I had to do a Google search. Thank you for Google. And they respond, Utah Highway Patrol officers respond to more than 70 calls a day involving road debris, more than 25,000 a year. And there's 753 crashes every year because of unsecured loads.
When I heard him say that, I thought that can't be right.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Dozens.
Yeah. I mean, people just need to be careful. And we're all guilty of it, but it's also the consequences can be absolutely
impaling horrible. Someone because of your load.
Yeah. That's about as bad as it gets. Speaking of crashes, there have been a surge in crashes lately around the state involving e-bikes, e-bicycles, and some have been deadly. Police in Cottonwood Heights are just one of the latest to warn people about the dangers. They join us next to break down how to keep ourselves and our kids safe when riding e-bikes. We'll talk about that straight ahead.
Coping-19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
Managing today's uncertainty can be overwhelming. We crave security, and it's uncomfortable when we sense a lack of control over our lives. Develop a routine for a more balanced lifestyle with healthy habits and fun. Focus on what you can control, even if it's little things, like a before-bedtime ritual.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top local story this hour. Investigators with the Utah Highway Patrol are asking anyone who was in the area of Deer Creek Reservoir yesterday to check their dash cams to see if they can identify where a piece of rebar came from.
Any information that can help us to identify from where this debris came from, that will help us to document that and look into this case more fully to see ultimately what happened.
UHP Lieutenant Cameron Roden says that piece of rebar ended up going through a windshield, impaling an 18-year-old woman and pinning her to the passenger seat of a car. That woman is currently in the hospital. A 4-year-old boy riding a dirt bike was taken to the hospital after getting into a crash with a Washington County Sheriff's deputy on Sunday. The Highway Patrol tells the St. George News the boy didn't stop at a stop sign and rode in front of the oncoming deputy. The child's father was riding behind on another dirt bike and witnessed the crash. The boy is said to have moderate injuries. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: nationwide testing is finding a scary educational trend.
The nation's report card measures academic achievement in 12th and 8th graders, and the numbers show a continued decline. In reading, 32% of high school seniors scored below basic, meaning they could not find details in text to help them understand meaning. The average reading score is the lowest since this assessment began in 1992. In math, just 33% of high school seniors were considered academically prepared for college-level math. Brian Clark, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow continues to inch upward, now up 155 points to 45,669. Coming up, we've got windy conditions and some possible rain later on today. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Step back in time and discover treasures from every era at Duke's Jewelers Estate Jewelry Trunk Show. Join us September 26th and 27th for a rare chance to shop one-of-a-kind pieces spanning over 200 years of design. From the romantic curves of Victorian jewelry to the flowing artistry of Art Nouveau, the refined elegance of the Edwardian era, and the bold geometry of Art Deco, you'll find history's most iconic styles all in one place. Whether you're drawn to the playful charm of retro designs, the sleek lines of mid-century classics, or the nostalgic sparkle of modern vintage, there's something waiting to tell your story. But remember, this event happens just one weekend a year, and these pieces are truly one of a kind. When they're gone, they're gone. Don't miss the Estate Jewelry Trunk Show, September 26th and 27th at Duke's Jewelers Springville. Duke's Jewelers, where history, artistry, and elegance come together.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want you to know that it's the little things that count. Any remodeler can say they treat customers right when it comes to siding, gutters, windows, and exteriors. It's hard to know for sure. If a contractor uses cheap generic nails instead of super grippy ridge shaft nails for your siding, would you even know? If they use cheap $4 caulk to install your new windows instead of paying $9 a tube for the good stuff, could you tell by looking? It all comes down to the details and trust. At RGS Exteriors, we only do things one way, the right way. We never cut corners. We never skimp on details. We never do less than the job requires. That's why we offer our industry's exclusive 10-year everything guarantee. And it's why we have the happiest customers. If you need any gutters, siding, or replacement windows, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsutah.com. That's 801-280-3110 or online at rgsutah.com.
Hi friends, Dan the Laptop Man here from PC Laptops. In celebration of over 32 years of serving humans in Utah with their computer and tech needs, we've slashed our prices. And these are the new 2025 models. Here's the deal. You can get our new 2025 S1 desktop with a blazing Ryzen 5 processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing fast storage on this promotion. We also have our new 2025 SM3 laptop with the Intel i5 processor, 16 gigs, and over a terabyte of storage for $999. You can take one home today for $999. And you also get the peace of mind of our lifetime service warranty. We also have 12 months special financing available, and they start as low as $29 a month. But hurry in because supplies are limited. Because at PC Laptops, we love you. PCLaptops.com. Take home a blazing fast 2025 model desktop or laptop for $999 at PCLaptops.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account. And let's get an update from Heather Kelly.
We still have a multi-vehicle crash in the cleanup stages northbound I-15 in Provo. It's right at University Avenue. And this was actually two separate crashes that happened apart from each other, about 40 minutes apart. But they've all moved over to the left shoulder and kind of bunched up since you've got UHP there on the scene. Good news is the slowdowns are gone through most of Utah County. It's not until you get into the Salt Lake Valley that you'll see the brake lights again, starting around 7200 South in Midvale all the way into downtown. And crews are also cleaning up a crash on the west side belt. This is northbound right at the ramp that'll take you either to I-80 or Redwood Road in that area. It's in the Gore, though, so it's not really affecting lanes of travel. Cars for Kids, the easiest way to get rid of your old car. Donate today and your car can be picked up tomorrow. Donate now at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be breezy with some possible showers in the afternoon, highs in the upper 80s. Tomorrow, much of the same, high of 87 possible tomorrow. Right now, it is partly cloudy and 75 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
You know, the way I usually start my morning, Holly, even with this early morning that we have going here, is I ride my bicycle, and either whether it's in a house, you know, a stationary bike in my home gym or on the road, but I try to ride between 3,000 and 5,000 miles a year on my bicycle. I still try to do that.
That's a lot.
But I remember a couple of years ago, I'm riding and I'm feeling strong and I'm riding really well, and I'm climbing a hill, and this guy comes up alongside me, and he's got a sort of a bigger bike. He's pulling a trailer with his kid in it, and he's flying by me, and I'm thinking, am I getting that old? And the answer is yes. But I also see he's got a motor on the bike, and they're not new. But to me, you know, 5 or 10 years ago, I saw those. It was sort of a phenomena that I'm like, is this really going to take off? And it's really taken off big time, where you see e-bikes, electric bikes, all over the place. And there are a lot of manufacturers. They make a very, very good product, but they can go pretty fast.
How is that different than like a moped?
Well, because that's how, sort of the idea of how it started was a moped. An e-bike is a bicycle with a motor. If you look at it, if you didn't know what the motor looked like, and it's usually just on the what we call the down tube, it looks like a bigger, like a something that you'd store stuff in, or you know, if you put your tubes or something like that in. A moped is more like a motorized, like an e-motorcycle almost.
It's like a putt-putt. I mean,
right? Yeah, there are different levels of them, and thankfully Cottonwood Heights posted some information about e-bike safety on Facebook the other night. I've been reading it because it does describe, there are like at least 3 or 4 different varieties of bikes, and each one has different parameters on who can operate it, where you can operate it. KSL TV's Debbie Werther looked into these bikes and the growing concern different cities have across Utah.
Late August, a person is rushed to the hospital in Harriman after getting hit on an e-bike. It happened at 4800 West and 118th South. It was just one of several of these crashes this summer.
We're just seeing a huge increase of these accidents involving e-bikes, and it's getting pretty scary.
E-bikes are becoming really popular right now.
At Magnum Electric Bikes in Trolley Square, you can find several different categories of electric bikes. And as they sell you the bike, they say safety is a top priority.
It's really important to know what is and isn't allowed.
At Magnum, they say even one tragedy is too many.
When you see people going extra fast through crosswalks or something like that, that's where we like to pause and, kind of educate.
Police in Farmington say last week's crash is another sad reminder of the safety concerns surrounding the bikes.
When you buy these e-bikes, please understand what you're buying, what the classification is, where they can be used, where they cannot be used, and please buy the protective equipment that's needed.
So we have with us Chris McHugh, Cottonwood Heights Assistant Chief of Police, who just recently posted an info sheet on Facebook regarding e-bikes. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Can you talk to us about the concern that you are seeing with e-bikes in your area?
Yeah, we've seen it's a drastic increase in the amount of mostly kids that are riding them. A lot of people are buying their kids these. Some of them are e-bikes, but a lot of the kids are actually riding e-motorcycles, and they're riding them to school, which is in theory would be great. They're getting there, they're getting out and getting into the wind, but some of these bikes are capable of traveling up to 50 miles an hour with no modifications to them.
Yeah, I was looking at that in your post, and it was, by the way, Chief, that was a very, very good post that Cottonwood Heights put out, because it helped me understand the three different types of e-bikes and then the e-motorcycle. So, I mean, without breaking down each one, a person who doesn't have a Utah driver license and who may not be 16 can operate an e-bike in certain areas, correct? An e-bicycle.
Yes, an e-bicycle can be operated. And the classes are a little bit different. You have the pedal assist, which doesn't have a throttle, and then as they go up, the class 2 and class 3 have throttles. And I mean, when you're traveling 28 miles an hour, you're exceeding the speed limit in a school zone at that point. And little kids walking around, and the crashes that we've seen have been pretty dramatic, and they've all been young kids that don't have any training to operate these at these speeds that are causing crashes and becoming injured.
So are there any kind of requirements for insurance like you would have for a motorcycle or a car?
On the e-motorcycles, you would have to have it, if you street legal it, you would have to have insurance on it, which is the only way that you could actually operate like the Sur-Ron or some of the other e-motorcycle classes that don't have pedals and are actually dirt bikes. For all intents and purposes, that would need insurance. But no, a lot of these people are putting their kids on an e-bicycle that can go 28 miles an hour, and they're crashing into cars, and they're becoming super injured. But they're also causing property damage to people's cars. And we had a little incident up here where kids were driving their e-bikes into people's garages, causing thousands of dollars worth of damage because it sounded like fun.
Oh, wow.
Another thing I noticed, Chief, is that these kids riding these e-bikes don't necessarily wear the type of protective gear that you and I might wear when we get out on even our own bicycles, but certainly in a motorcycle or something like that. I mean, you would expect that a kid on an e-bike, especially when you telling us that you can go 20 to 28 miles an hour, should at the very least, have a helmet on, right?
I think anybody riding a bike that could go that fast should at least have a helmet on. But, I mean, then you're talking about, our motor officers, when we ride, I make them wear over-the-ankle boots, long pants, gloves. Because if you do have a crash, the old saying of dress for the slide, not for the ride, it's a real thing. You don't want to be chewed up by the road when you fall down.
Ouch. Are you seeing an increase in vandalism because of these, not just in garages, but maybe playgrounds or golf courses?
We don't have any golf courses, but we have seen them tearing up the grass in our public parks. The other issue we're having is the garages was our big one because kids were just rolling their bikes into the garages and destroying $1,000, $1,500, $5,000 garage doors.
Wow.
But we are losing a lot of grass, and then our public works has to go out and repair all of it. It costs a lot for the city and the citizens.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. That was Chris McHugh, Cottonwood Heights Assistant Chief of Police. Look, today is a birthday that we are going to celebrate. President Russell M. Nelson, the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is 101.
Unbelievable.
It really is, actually. That we're going to talk about that next. And we're streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. Stay with us through the break.
I'm Jordan Wilcox, your Utah tax attorney. When life gets overwhelming, some things tend to fall by the side.
I'm Carlos Sanchez from Draper, Utah. I was managing a business, helping out a business, doing paperwork and getting paid, and my wife got sick. We filed taxes, but then we got audited. And when I went and talked to the IRS, they didn't give me any choice. The IRS pretty much said, this is what you owe us, when are you going to pay us? And we're talking quite a bit. But every time I drive, I listen to the radio. Jordan Wilcox. So I figure there's a reason these guys on the radio. So I called them.
Put an end to IRS collection and aggression today.
The amount that the IRS came up with, close to $250,000, and the offer and compromise was about $7,600. That's it.
This is Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. Let's solve your IRS nightmare. Visit endtaxworry.com.
Go for it. The outcome, it was worth it. I'm okay.
endtaxworry.com.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
Power outages happen year-round and they're always unexpected. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and some people have medical equipment that needs to stay on, or maybe you don't want the hundreds of dollars of food in the freezer to spoil. Regardless of the reasons, Any Hour Services can help with a backup generator. Now, a lot of people think that backup generators cost thousands of dollars, but we have packages that'll run the essentials and start at less than $2,500. That includes the generator, the connections from the generator to the house, and the installation. We also carry and install larger generators that can run the whole house and kick on automatically when the power goes out. Of course, those cost more, but if you call right now, you can save $1,000 on any standby generator purchase over 9,000 watts. A licensed electrician from Any Hour Services will walk you through the process and show you what options are available. And if you need it, we have flexible financing options available, even if you've been told no in the past. To schedule a free estimate, call Any Hour Services today. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Amanda, I'm always on the hunt for a deal where I get the highest quality for the best price. I mean, that's what everybody wants, right? But Bedrock Quartz delivers that. They give you the highest end countertops and backsplashes and bathrooms and tiles and all of those things. And right now, you can get the best price ever on what they have.
I love that they've extended this friends and family discount through the month of September. So you literally will pay what an employee of Bedrock Quartz would pay through the month of September. And they did 2 bathrooms at our old place and 1 in our new place. And Andy, there's just nothing like getting in a shower that is as beautiful as it can be with Bedrock Quartz.
You know, if you're in your home and you're not looking to move, but you can still make it feel like new with new countertops or new bathrooms. So right now, when you go into their showroom, the price on the showroom is what it is installed, no additional markup.
And that's true whether it's quartz or quartzite or granite or marble. And they have 100 different options to choose from. So you'll find something you fall in love with.
They're a fourth-generation, family-owned countertop company headquartered in Utah since 1976. Check them out online at bedrockquartz.com.
Are you thinking about buying medicine online? A search for online pharmacies yields more than 20 million results. But which ones can you trust? Medicines bought from unlicensed online pharmacies can be dangerous. You may get a fake drug, your condition may get worse, or you may experience a bad reaction. Don't put your health at risk. To learn how to find an online pharmacy that's safe and legal, visit fda.gov/BeSafeRx. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Utah Rail Safety Week is Monday, September 15th to Sunday, September 21st. Whether you drive, bike, or walk, safety starts with each of us. Learn more at UtahOperationLifesaver.org.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
I always think that happy birthday song needs to be pepped up a little bit. But this is for the 101st birthday of President Russell M. Nelson of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's got to be a milestone for sure. But one of the things that's super interesting to me about President Nelson is his academic and professional background. He went to the University of Utah and became not only a medical doctor with a medical degree, becoming a cardiac surgeon later in life, but he got a PhD as well, and he did it simultaneously. That was super, super impressive to me.
And he was apparently the third doctor to perform
successful
open heart surgery in the United States. I mean, served in the military did his medical career in Korea during the Korean War. I mean, he was born in 1924, the year Vladimir Lenin died. The first year that we had Winter Olympics, the first Macy's Thanksgiving Parade. I mean, things that we all take for granted started or ended 101 years ago.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just a lot, right? So, and he was called as an apostle for the church in 1984, and then he became the president of the church in 2018 after the death of previous president Thomas S. Monson. So we have Sarah Weaver with us. She's the editor of the Deseret News, and she's a previous editor of the Church News, to talk to us about some of the milestones from President Nelson's life and leadership. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you both so much for having me. It's such a treat to talk about one of my favorite people, which is President Nelson.
I've never met him. Greg was asking me. I'm like, nope, never met him in person, but I know you have. I wanted to see if we could just start by talking about a Time magazine article that just was published, I think on Sunday, by President Nelson. What did he write about in Time magazine?
Well, it's so remarkable that when someone is about to celebrate their 101st birthday, the one thing he does is look outward. It's so indicative of his life and his ministry. And he submitted an op-ed to Time magazine. And in that, he actually said, look, I have a birthday wish for the world. And he talked about two truths. And the first truth he talked about was that every person on earth has inherent worth and dignity, which I think is so beautiful in a day and age when we maybe don't treat each other with the respect that they deserve. He said the second truth mirrors that, and he talked about the second great commandment taught by Jesus Christ, to love your neighbor and treat them with compassion and respect. So he's asking everyone to believe that they have value themselves, and then to treat other people with that same value. It's very beautiful.
Sarah, he became president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in 2018. Can you tell us and every president leaves their mark, and I know he's still leaving his now, but what would you say would be something that we will remember, or that how he has changed, how the church has changed since he's become president?
Well, he was 93 years old when he became president and prophet of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And at the time, there was some major news organizations that published headlines that said, there's been this transition, and the next leader of the church is unlikely to do much, unlikely to change the course of the church. And so no one saw no one could have predicted, outside of the church or inside the church, the impact he would have on so many millions of people across the globe.
You know, one of the things that stands out to me is, first of all, right after he became the leader of the church, he embarked on a multi-country tour. And I remember Boyd Matheson, who used to be the host of Inside Sources, like he was exhausted trying to follow him around. And Boyd is significantly younger. But that was one of the things that stood out. And another for me is just the incredible number of temples that he has announced during his leadership.
Yeah, so the first 19 months he was leader of the church, he traveled to 35 nations. I was also on that media team that covered that ministry, and it was a sprint. He would go to countries and meet with government leaders, and then speak to members, and go to bed and get up and do the same thing again in another country. And so that was just amazing to behold. The other thing that has been a serious focus of his very, very fast-paced ministry is the construction of temples. When President Nelson was born in 1924, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints only had 6 temples. And so now 101 years later, there are 382 temples that have been announced, dedicated, or that are currently under construction. And here's the remarkable thing. President Nelson has announced 200 of those.
Yeah, more than half. Yeah.
Sarah, can you talk to us about his legacy outside of being president of the church? I mean, he was a world-renowned surgeon, served his country in the military. I mean, he had so much to the table. He had a wonderful life before he became president of the church in 2018, didn't he?
Yeah, President Nelson graduated from medical school at the University of Utah, top in his class. He was very young. He was on the team that pioneered the heart-lung machine that made open-heart surgery possible. And at this time, I think we all are so accustomed to the medical advances of our day that we forget what a big deal it is that he did what he did. Because at the time he started studying the heart, it was believed that if a human hand touched the heart, that a patient would die. And so they took that, and then they actually they pioneered something that allowed people to actually operate and repair the heart. And he brought that pioneering surgical ability to Utah, and has saved countless of lives in the western United States and indeed across the world.
Sarah, could you talk to us about the 2020 pandemic, the November effort that President Nelson led to give thanks?
Well, I love this because it seemed counterintuitive at the time, right? The pandemic hits the world, everything shuts down in March. We get to November of that year, everybody's tired, everybody's exhausted, there isn't a vaccine yet, and economies are struggling, and individuals are struggling, and people have dealt with so much loss. And President Nelson takes to social media and he says, give thanks. He said, gratitude is a fast-acting spiritual prescription for the things that ail society. And people across the world took to social media and gave thanks. And for me personally, I don't know about the two of you, but I started to feel better when I started to count my blessings.
I've seen that continue too, right? Every November I see people who resurrect that hashtag. So I wonder if you could share one final leadership lesson. We only have about a minute left, but if you have one final leadership lesson that stands out for you.
Well, President Nelson has a most unique leadership style, and it promotes unity, and it's inclusive, and it's very, very empowering. And I remember when he went to the Vatican to meet with the Pope and to dedicate the Church's Rome, Italy temple. In the meeting with the Pope, he had taken every single member of the First Presidency and Quorum of the 12 with him to Rome. And first of all, that's such a beautiful, inclusive thing to have unity, to say, I'm not going to choose one of the men that I work with to go on this very special event. I'm going to bring them all. because I care about them all. But when he went to visit the Pope, he took two local leaders, Elder DeFeo, who was the church's only Italian general authority, and an Elder Niciaci, who was a local Area 70 in Italy. And I thought, what an empowering thing to do when you have all of these world leaders from Salt Lake in town. He chose the people who had been pioneering the church in that country and gave them the opportunity to meet with the Pope to establish that relationship. And that's what he does. He promotes unity, and he builds and strengthens individuals. And I think that was his message as he continues into his 101st year.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sarah Weaver, editor of the Deseret News. And happy birthday, President Russell M. Nelson of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. When we come back, big news from the United States Supreme Court, a big change in the way we handle confrontations between police and people who are here in the country, perhaps illegally.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Investigators with the Utah Highway Patrol are asking anyone who was in the area of Deer Creek Reservoir yesterday to check their dash cams to see if they can identify where a piece of rebar came from.
Any information that can help us to identify from where this debris came from, that will help us to document that and look into this case more fully to see ultimately what happened.
UHP Lieutenant Cameron Roden says that piece of rebar ended up going through a windshield, impaling an 18-year-old woman and pinning her to the passenger seat of a car. That woman is currently in the hospital. People who ordered the Great Salt Lake specialty license plates 2 years ago are finally getting those plates delivered. The Utah State Tax Commission says more than 570 Utahns ordered one of those plates, and the fee from the plates goes to help protect the Great Salt Lake and its ecosystem. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A Michigan judge today tossed a case against 15 people accused of being fake electors for President Donald Trump back in 2020. Charges were brought by the state's Democratic Attorney General over 2 years ago. The people charged included a few high-profile members of the Republican Party in the battleground state. Each faced 8 charges of forgery and conspiracy to commit election forgery. Your money at this moment, the Dow's pulled back a tiny bit, but still up 67 points on the day to 45,579. Coming up, the wind's going to stick around a while. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:02. The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
The Utah RV Super Show, the premier RV event of the year, is back at the Mountain America Expo Center Thursday, September 11th through Sunday, September 14th. Come see new 2026 models and special closeout pricing on all 2025 models. The Utah RV Super Show is offering family passes Thursday, September 11th for $10 per family. Unplug from distractions and plug into family at the Utah RV Super Show. Discount passes at UtahRVSupershow.com.
Don't let the wrong gear ruin your time in the field. Upgrade your arsenal with premium brands at great prices during the Shields Hunting Sale event now through September 14th. Score free tax stamps for suppressor purchases over $5.99 and save big on Sitka, Lucky Duck, Shields Outfitters, and shot shells from the top brands. Join the community of hunters who trust Shields experts to outfit their adventures and get more bang for your buck now through September 14th at Shields.
No parades, no confetti, just quiet wins that changed everything.
Real people, real results. Soda weight loss works. Just ask Ramon.
Tying my shoes without grunting, taking stairs without gasping, running around with my kids without needing a break. That's what Soda gave me. In 16 weeks, I dropped 82 pounds.
Let that sink in. He lost 82 pounds. That's amazing.
Think about all that weight lifted off your bones. I owe my life to Soda. That's not hyperbole. With Soda, you don't feel alone. You get your own nutritionist guiding you every step along the way.
What are you waiting for? Just imagine your friends and family's reactions when you show up at holiday parties 30, 40, 50 pounds lighter. Get started now for the best season of your life with our partner program. Because when you join now, your partner joins for free.
Go to sodaweightloss.com. SOTA stands for state of the art. sodaweightloss.com. sodaweightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
What is your next success story? At University of Maryland Global Campus, you can succeed again with more than 135 affordable online degrees and certificates to help you move your career forward. From cybersecurity and AI to healthcare and MBA, our programs help you build critical thinking, leadership, and communication skills that set you apart in today's job market. Designed for working adults, focused on the future. Classes start September 17th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Traffic and weather together now, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, we don't have too many delays on any of the freeways now across the Wasatch Front, including I-15 in both directions heading into downtown Salt Lake. But there's still a multi-vehicle crash in the cleanup stages northbound I-15 at University Avenue in Provo. We still have a few cars on the left shoulder, but originally we had about 9 or 10, so they are getting cleaned out slowly. And then if you're on State Street in downtown Salt Lake, we do have lane restrictions. This is northbound between 900 and 500 South. Looks like only one left lane is available there. See your favorite characters in the spooktacular smash hit Halloween performance this fall, Thriller. Experience the fall tradition everyone is talking about. Tickets to Thriller on sale now at odysseydance.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we should see a high today of 88 degrees. 87 or 88 degrees again tomorrow, and then temperatures drop as a cold front moves in. It's also going to be breezy for the next 3 days. Right now it's mostly cloudy and 79 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Yesterday afternoon, Holly, the United States Supreme Court lifted restrictions on LA immigration officers that had been placed there by a California federal judge after they had apparently arrested some United States citizens. Now, ICE is allowed to detain people due to the language they are speaking, their location, their race, and even their job. A retired New York Police Department Detective Robert Boyce tells us more.
So these are roving raids. They go to locations where immigrants might kind of like get together. And that's mostly shake-up spots for the most part. And they're allowed to stop and question them briefly as to where they are, where they belong, and any identification.
You know, my first question is this not profiling?
Yes, and what the Supreme Court has said is that they're entitled to do that. Now, I think I disagree a little bit with what the detective said. It's just a brief detention. You can just talk to them for a minute. It's a little more than that. So when we deal with law enforcement or government confrontation with citizens, we come back to the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, because the Fourth Amendment deals with searches and seizures. Mm-hmm. And when we detain a person, that's a seizure. When you arrest somebody, that's a seizure. We think of seizure as seizing property, and it is that, but it also means seizing an individual. And so our Constitution has historically not allowed law enforcement to seize a person, even momentarily, unless they have some cause for it.
Right, some kind of probable cause, right?
Yeah, probable cause allows you to arrest, but even a lesser, what we call reasonable suspicion or reasonable articulable suspicion. Hey, there's something going on. There's something I don't feel right about. I don't think I have enough to arrest this person, but I'd sure like to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And you can detain them briefly. Even that level of detention, even that level of cause in the officer's mind is not there anymore. And what the Supreme Court has said, because the trial court said, hey, you got to have something. You can't just go and talk to people because they're speaking Spanish, right, or because they're dark complected, or because of sort of where they are, where they're standing. And the Supreme Court said, not so fast. We're going to lift that ban, and now that is back in place in terms of what immigration authorities can do to citizens or to anyone.
So they can go to, for example, a Home Depot, and they can just sweep through the parking lot and gather everybody that's there that is brown-skinned or speaking Spanish.
Correct. And they
that seems like a problem.
It's historically been not allowed, but with what we're doing in this country as it relates to deportations and illegal immigration is, and I think it's a concerted effort by the courts and the administration and Congress not jumping in, is really taking a step back on what we've historically thought of as due process and said, look, there are certain situations, there are certain causes, certain emergencies, if you will, that allow us to override that, or at least seemingly have allowed us to do that. And I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here, but these deportations without a hearing, flying people on an airplane to a prison in El Salvador, and that type of thing. Those type of things would have been unheard of a year ago, let alone 10 years ago. But now, as ICE officers see a group of people, just like you described, and they're Hispanic, they're speaking Spanish, they're out at the Home Depot, now they're allowed to go in and detain them, not just chit-chat with them like the detectives seem to indicate. They can hold them. They can say, stop, you're not moving anywhere. And under the Fourth Amendment, that is a seizure. And it has historically required something more than just you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, I'm not. That certainly is a long stretch from taking them into custody and arresting them, but you're detained. You're not free to leave, and that's allowed in these cases where it hasn't been allowed before. And I think that the Supreme Court, Kavanaugh, was like, hey, we don't want to have. What he said is this. He's one of the justices of the United States Supreme Court. He said the prospect of having after the fact judicial second guessing and contempt proceedings will inevitably chill law enforcement officers from doing their duty. So what he's saying is, hey, if we're going to second guess every cop that detains someone and say, okay, why did you do it? What were the factors? What were you thinking? What was going on? It's going to chill law enforcement officers from doing their job. I would just say this in response to that. That's what we've always done. I mean, you don't just detain people because this is the land of the free and the home of the brave. I mean, you are free to walk around. You are free to go where you want without fear of the government stopping you and saying, hey, wait a minute, why are you here?
So I know that Justice Sotomayor, who wrote the minority opinion, which is 6-3, which is what a lot of them have been right now, she said countless people in the Los Angeles area have been grabbed, thrown to the ground, and handcuffed simply because of their looks, their accents, and the fact that they make a living by doing manual labor. And today the court needlessly subjects countless more to these exact same indignities. So part of what I'm looking for clarification, this was a 6-3 decision, but it doesn't seem like it was released with documentation, or at least not very much of it. It doesn't seem like it actually is a final decision. Am I reading that correctly?
You're exactly right. The Supreme Court did not issue an opinion.
Okay.
What they did was they told the lower court, you are wrong when you restricted what these officers can do and under what circumstances they can detain and arrest individuals. You took it too far. So we'll be back at the Supreme Court someday. That's a great question, and that's really the penultimate question here is what happened with the case. Well, now agents can go and detain people based on these factors that we've talked about, which they have historically not been able to detain people for. But that's not necessarily going to be the law. The judge is going to have to make better findings. There may have to be some level of a case with almost like a trial. And I think they were also concerned that the plaintiffs, the people that filed this case, weren't people that necessarily had been, they didn't have a dog in the fight. They weren't people that had been arrested. They weren't people that had been detained. They purported to represent that group. And so the Supreme Court said, no, we're not going to allow that law to go into place right now. We're going to stay it. That's why they didn't issue an opinion. But boy, the dissent did. The three dissenters, 45-page opinion. They said this is you're throwing the Constitution on its head. The Supreme Court, the majority, and it was a 6-3. It wasn't the 5-4. I mean, it was a 6-3. Right. Said no, this judge went too far, and when he restricted what officers could do.
So will this have? So you mentioned a chilling effect on police officers. Will this have a chilling effect on U.S. citizens who are brown and speak Spanish?
Absolutely. And they are now in a position where they can expect to be approached and detained by ICE officers in a way that they hadn't been in the past. And that's where we're seeing these people thrown to the ground, because a U.S. citizen might be indignant and say, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to keep walking, and I'm going to go get in my car. And ICE agent could say, no, you're not.
Yeah.
I'm detaining you, and you're going to stop. And that's when these confrontations go, and that's when you see people getting hurt and ICE agents actually having to have a physical confrontation.
So now, if you are brown or you speak Spanish, you should be carrying papers in the U.S.
Oh, yeah, you should have your passport with you all day long.
That's what I told my daughter, who was originally born in Guatemala.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. New research from the University of Utah is showing that food insecurity increases for refugees after they get their first job in the U.S. Stay with us on KSL News Radio. You can stream us on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
If you need new windows and you live in Utah, there's only one choice. There are other window companies, but they're more expensive, and their windows aren't made in Utah for Utah's ever-changing climate. Advanced Window Products has been building state-of-the-art windows right here in Salt Lake for 39 years. And since they're the factory, they cut out the middleman, and you save 30, even 40% on new windows. Plus, right now, as they book for fall, Advanced Windows will give you $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. They build the windows, install the windows, and guarantee them for life. And since they're right here in Utah, if you have a problem years from now, just call them. They'll come over. Advanced Windows offers 0% financing, buy now, pay later. They're affordable. Get your new windows and get the energy savings before we get to winter. $2,500 off. Call them, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Galileo Wealth Management, we understand the nuts and bolts of retirement planning, our investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and more. But think about it. What are you trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P? Or is your goal to make memories with your family? Our goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management today, 801-516-3227. That's 801-516-3227, or go online to GalileoWealth.com. Let Todd Kim and Galileo Wealth Management help you make memories, not just money.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
At BMW of Pleasant Grove, we believe that driving should be more than just a commute. It should be an experience. Feel the perfect fusion of performance, technology, and luxury with our stunning lineup of new and certified pre-owned BMWs. From the exhilarating drive of a 3 or 5 Series to the spacious elegance of an X7, experience a transparent and effortless car buying experience. Visit us at bmwofpg.com. BMW of Pleasant Grove. The ultimate driving machine is closer than you think.
An emergency can happen any second. Here's a few seconds to think about where you'd go. When you need medical care fast, the closest emergency room is a smart thing to know. Common Spirit Health ERs are your direct path between feeling scared or uncomfortable and feeling better. Find emergency care in your neighborhood at mountain.commonspirit.org.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
You know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
Yeah, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, anything, you need to tell an adult, someone you know and trust. That can be hard, but speaking up about a problem is what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, what are you waiting for? Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared.
Prevent your child's next asthma attack. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor, because even one attack is one too many. Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
The University of Utah did some research on refugees and food insecurity within our state. And one of the things that they found, in fact, one of the words that they used was stunning. One of the things they found is that after the people who are here as refugees, and remember that's a legal process, but after they get here and get their first job, that they may experience more food insecurity than before.
Yeah, you would almost expect that to be the opposite.
Right.
That coming here from a lifestyle that probably did have some level of food insecurity and seeing the land of plenty, if you will, you would think would give some people some solace. But I could also understand thinking, hey, things are great today, but I don't know where I'm going to be tomorrow, and maybe having that level of insecurity.
Well, KSL News Radio's Andy Kopp has a little bit more on the research from the U.
Refugees often receive both public and private assistance, but when they get their first job,
they are going to lose their SNAP benefits, all of it or some portions of it, while they haven't reached a stable income. And most of the times, the jobs that they find are temporary.
Dr. Nasir Sharare is a research assistant professor at University of Utah Health. He says he's also seen language barriers lead to confusion about reapplying for benefits. His proposed solution?
Refugees, when we interviewed them, they said we need more SNAP benefits and to extend and improve SNAP benefits.
Andy Kopp, KSL News Radio.
So I think I understand now a little bit better, Holly, and you can maybe explain to our listeners SNAP benefits. I mean, I've sort of equated those to food stamps, but so when an individual comes to the country, they would normally qualify for those, but what we're learning apparently is that they then get a job, they start working, and then that puts those benefits at risk, and that may be part of the reason for this insecurity.
Yeah, that's right. And so SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It is what we used to call food stamps. We don't call it that anymore, but it's a program where when refugees come to this country, there are federal benefits. There are also state partners as well, but they're here. And these benefits, they're time bound for sure, because they're trying to get these refugees on their feet again. But what happens is you have a benefits cliff, and it's not just for refugees, but in this particular piece of research, it was looking at refugees. So you have a benefits cliff. If you make a certain amount of money, you no longer qualify. And it's not for a lot of benefits, you don't stair step off of them. It's either you get them or you don't get them. And so what they're finding is if you make enough, and these can be temporary jobs, they're often low-paying jobs, and then you were getting benefits, and then all of a sudden you're not getting them.
Okay, so that makes sense, and that could cause that insecurity, because you get here and all of a sudden you have this benefit, but just because you're getting out and working, it's pulled back. I mean, I think there's some level of misunderstanding as to what it all means, because you're making enough money that authorities assume you don't need the benefits anymore.
And there's a couple of other places too. I mean, they're related, but one of the things too that the University of Utah found as they interviewed refugee families is they didn't understand that they had to reapply every 6 months. And that's actually relatively new with the federal government saying we want to make sure, right, that we're keeping the people who are abusing the system, that we keep them off. They have to reapply every 6 months. And I just want you to imagine if you are coming from another country, you've been living in a refugee camp, the refugee process to get here to the United States is somewhere between 3 and 20 years usually. It takes a very, very long time. So you may have been in a camp where you're used to showing up at a communal feeding area. You get what you get. You don't go to the grocery store. Look, when we started our adoption journey 35 years ago, we had some people who came over and they were visiting from some of the Eastern European countries where we had adopted our children, walked into the grocery store and started to cry because they were completely overwhelmed with how many choices were there, right? So trying to navigate this process of filling out applications and understanding the language and understanding how many times you have to reapply and what that looks like, right? That it's a lot harder than you think it is.
Yeah, and what the finding was, there were actually 4 different periods when refugees could feel this food insecurity. First, when they found their first job in the United States. That we talked about that with the SNAP benefits perhaps being taken away. Second, after 6 months in the United States, when they had to renew their SNAP application, I wonder if people didn't realize that, or maybe they thought that it was at risk, and so hey, I'm reapplying. Does that mean I'm likely to lose it? Third, when they were no longer receiving caseworker support from resettlement agencies,
right?
You're gonna have to help me understand that one.
That just means that it's time bound, so you can only you get support for up to 2 years, right? And then trying to get people into the system, and as money for these programs shrinks, the time of the support shrinks.
Oh, interesting. Okay, and then fourth, when they face fluctuations in employment or household expenditure,
Right.
so the cost of living, and
Or they get a temporary
you
job
get cut back on your job or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, you don't think about that. You think of this land as being the land of food security, but that's an unfortunate thing. I mean, hopefully they're helping these refugees understand that that's just part of the process. And the good news, bad news, you may lose your SNAP benefits, but you're making a lot of money now, and you can afford it.
A lot is relative.
Right.
A lot is relative. It's just over the poverty rate. But, food insecurity among refugee groups within Utah can be up to 85%. That's a lot, right? That's a lot. And we know just in the general population in Utah that food insecurity is on the rise. So our food banks and our food pantries are feeling the stress. They're feeling the increased need. And one of the things we know from nonprofit research is that when the needs increase, it's typically during a time when donations decrease. So people are feeling pinched in their own homes, and they're less likely to give. And of course, it's the time where people most need those types of donations.
It does seem, Holly, that, and maybe Utah's unique, maybe not, but in addition to SNAP benefits, there are refugee provider groups, there are agencies, there are citizen groups, church groups, others that are supplying good food and services to refugees that hopefully are alleviating some of that food stress.
There are a lot, right? And I just mentioned food pantries, but there are a variety of organizations that help, and they each can have different areas of specialization. So the Utah Refugee Connection focuses on a certain area, like they help with, for example, SNAP benefits will not cover laundry soap. So they still have to wash their clothes, right? So one of the things that the Utah Refugee Connection works on finding is laundry soap, diapers, hygiene kits. So you're talking about soap, deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrushes, those types of things, right? Other organizations focus on different areas. But yes, we still have, I think if I remember the last number, something like 80,000 refugees in the state of Utah. And some of them are fairly new, although President Trump shut that down when he came into office. But still, Utah, even with those numbers, Utah is not a top receiving state for refugees.
Did you say that SNAP benefits could go away with a job that's even what a lot of us would consider low income?
Yeah, it can. They can. So it's based on your income, based on federal poverty rate. And one of the things that's interesting about the federal poverty rate is the entire country is looked at as one lump sum, right? So your poverty rate and your ability to make your dollar go far in, say, Alabama is not the same as in Utah, which is not the same as in Hawaii or Alaska.
Right.
But the number stays stable all the way across the United States. So yeah, you can have a job that is above the poverty level, but not by a lot, and you'll lose your SNAP benefits.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I learned more about SNAP benefits just working with you for the last 3 months, and then I knew in my lifetime, and I guess I just didn't appreciate how it worked and how they're supplied and what the restrictions and whatnot are.
You know, I just have to do a shout out for some of the school districts too, because there are several school districts that have a lot of refugee children who attend, and they work really hard on not only student support but family support as well, with language, with navigating the system, with getting them set up on how do you even get a driver's license. That's something completely befuddling to a lot of people.
Thank you for that explanation. When we come back, 42% of Gen Z adults are now pursuing blue-collar jobs. They're finding that they gain wealth quicker than with white-collar counterparts, finish training within a couple of years, and dive directly into jobs with competitive pay when we come back.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. The majority of victims know their attacker. It could be your friend, your neighbor, or someone you met at a party. If you said no, it's rape, and it's a crime. This is Christina Ricci with RAINN. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline today at 1-800-656-HOPE or visit rainn.org. That's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAINN and this station.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour: the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints turns 101 years old today. During the pandemic, President Russell M. Nelson encouraged church members to read in their scriptures daily.
Our Father knows that when we are surrounded by uncertainty and fear, what will help us the very most is to hear His Son.
President Nelson is the oldest living leader of a worldwide religion and has already lived longer than any other leader of the Salt Lake-based church. The state is launching a new initiative designed to help homeowners work out problems with their HOAs. The Office of the Homeowners Association Ombudsman will be a go-between to work through issues, provide answers on state law, and provide training. Every HOA in Utah will be required to register in this new system. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: the U.S. job market was much weaker in 2024 and earlier this year than originally thought. The Labor Department this morning released revised numbers from April 2024 through March of this year. The data says employers added 911,000 fewer jobs than originally reported. Your money at this moment: the Dow is up slightly, almost 0.2%, 88 points to 45,603. Coming up, breezy for the next 3 days. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you spend half your day walking or standing while working? If you have foot, knee, or low back pain, the Good Feet store wants to help you like we helped Tony.
Pain that I experience the most is foot pain from being on my feet all day. You're having to kind of talk to yourself through the whole shift, like, I got this, I can do this. Before, I felt defeated, and now it's like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. A whole new life, like sunshine coming out.
And here's Dennis.
Working at an amusement park, it's always on your feet. I just couldn't take it, but I didn't have a choice. I just couldn't believe that putting these arch supports in made that much of a difference that quickly. Good Feet just took that pain away, and I could do my job, and I could take care of my family. I know what my tomorrow's going to be. It's going to be positive, and it's going to be pain-free.
You deserve a better life, too. Stop in the Good Feet store today. Walk-ins are always welcome. Or find the location nearest you and schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
I am not a rich woman, but I feel like a rich woman every time I go in my closet. The best, hands down, present I've ever received was my husband secretly redid my closet with Closets by Design. So now when I go in there aren't all these shoes just junked on the floor. They're neatly sitting on their shelves. And my necklaces are hanging on their individual hooks, and earrings are in their little squares in this soft drawer that pulls out. It's just gorgeous. In fact, he saw how much I loved it. He had Closets by Design redo the garage. So now all the stuff, the tools, the toys, the junk is all in cabinets. When you open our garage door, you see cars. That's it. It's amazing. the things that Closets by Design can do. And it's going to save you money right now because you get up to 40% off plus an additional 15% off with 18-month financing. You can do so much with your closet, much more than you realize, with this wonderful Utah company, Closets by Design. Find out more at 1-800-BY-DESIGN or closetsbydesign.com.
Do you have an IRA or 401k? It's natural to think of this as being your money, right? But remember, you still have to pay taxes when you withdraw this money in retirement. And you could be paying a lot more in taxes on these accounts than you know. A lot more. Learn the strategies that can help you reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Let's check in with Heather Kelly.
Looks like we're finally accident-free all across the Wasatch Front and no delays anywhere on I-15, the east or west side belt routes, 201 freeway, or even coming out of Tooele County right now on SR 36. But we do still have plenty of construction around the valleys, and so you are going to have lane restrictions on the I-215 west belt between the 201 freeway up to I-80. And also on State Street right now in downtown Salt Lake, if you're northbound State Street between 900 and 500 South, there's only one left lane available, and that from time to time causes some big backups. Unplug from distractions and plug into family at the Utah RV Super Show September 11th through the 14th at Mountain America Expo Center. Visit UtahRVSupershow.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we're going to be in the upper 80s today, looking for a high of 88 degrees. Also, near that, tomorrow, 87 degrees. It's going to be breezy all the way through Thursday. We have a cold front moving in later this week that'll drop temperatures into the 70s. Right now, it is mostly cloudy, starting to get that wind, and 81 degrees. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Greg, do you remember hearing about the GI Bill?
Oh, yes.
What was that from?
From probably World War II.
Yeah, World War II, and it was to incentivize young men, especially, to go to college, right? So it became, and it was a really great opportunity for them to go get a college degree. But before that, I would say it was not very popular. It was not common. And then I think, like things do, a pendulum swings. And we had a lot of people, men and women, going to colleges. And now we're kind of swinging back the other way, and there can be multiple reasons, but what we're seeing is that Gen Z job seekers, they're turning towards blue-collar jobs more than some of the older generations. Not all the way back to the boomers, but older than some of the older ones.
Yeah, and you do see that shift. I mean, when I graduated from high school, and of course that was 45, 50 years ago, it almost seemed like a must. You went to college. In fact, the high school counselors were like, where are you with college? Who's going to college? What are you doing? And a lot of my friends didn't, and they came out of it just fine. But it seemed to me that there was almost like a stigma that you had to go to college, or at least go for a year or two. An expectation, right?
That everybody's going to go. It's so funny. So my husband graduated in 1979 from a little teeny podunk college in Kansas, and they did not have the idea that people should go to college. Their big idea is that you should graduate engaged, if not already married, with a pickup truck that had a gun rack in the back. And the way he found out about the ACT, he didn't even know it was a thing, right? There was an announcement one day at school, hey, if anybody's interested in going to college, show up tomorrow. You got to take this test. He's like, wait, what?
Yeah. Apparently about 45% of Gen Z job seekers feel that artificial intelligence has rendered their degree irrelevant. KSL's Tammy Kikuchi has more.
Enrollment in construction classes is growing in Utah high schools. Joey Gilbert, president of Associated General Contractors of Utah, is not surprised. He says students want tangible careers that won't be made obsolete by AI.
Where they can say, hey, I built that, and what I built has an impact on society and what we're able to offer communities that we build.
Gilbert says the trades are resilient and will always be needed, like medicine and service industries. He says the industry is changing rapidly with new technologies that require problem solving, critical thinking, and decision making. Tammy Kikuchi, KSL News Radio.
So I think that the AI is a component, but I don't think it's the only one. And I'll just give you an example. So we have a son who is training to become an electrician. In fact, he was talking about it this weekend over a family dinner, and he was saying that he went to either a semester or a year of college, and he did not enjoy it. He didn't know what he wanted to study. But when he started working in the construction trades, he ended up finding out that the electrical trade was really something he was super interested in. He's midway through his training. He's got 2 more years, and he expects six figures when he gets done.
And he should. And I think that's another hook with respect to blue-collar jobs is that they're paying now.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at what welders, truck drivers, electricians, other tradespeople are earning now, and they're also considering this. If I go to college for 4 years and I take out student loans for 4 years or 6 years or 8 years and then get a job teaching or whatever, depending on what my degree is, writing, I don't know, practicing law. How long is it going to...
Being a radio show host.
Right, yes. How long is it going to take me to make up, A, the 4 years of lost income that I didn't get from working in a trade, and B, paying back all the student loans and debt that I incurred during that time? And it can be, if you do the math, sometime, you're thinking 20 or 30 years before I break even. Maybe it's not worth it to some people.
So according to the Utah Department of Workforce Services, the state of Utah added about 5,000 jobs in the construction industry over the last year. So while I think that there will be some things that AI may do in all of the professions, even the medical profession, there's some really, really exciting advances that can happen with AI. There are some things that are always going to need people, but to add 5,000 jobs in construction over the last year, we know we have a lot more houses that we need, right? That's an area I think where we're starting to see that blue collar work that we used to call it. And it became a derogatory term, right? It's not meant. I don't think it should be meant as derogatory, but people have used it that way for a while.
And I remember working in the drug court community. We had a sponsor, a big manufacturing company here in Utah, who was helping us because they had one of their executives that was involved in drug court. Nonetheless, they came to us and said, we need welders. We need welders worse than anything, and we'll pay. I don't remember what it was, and I hate to throw a number out, but it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
It was a significant amount of money. And so we were talking to the kids in drug court saying, Can you
weld?
learn how to weld? I mean, we've got a job for you. It's a great job. It's a career building job. It's got benefits. It's full time. And sure, we filled some of those positions, but not as quickly as they were becoming available.
One of the issues I know, because I've had kids look into welding, is the wait list to get into welding programs is very long.
Well, it should be. I mean, now that's what we should be doing
very
now,
popular.
is getting people trained in that.
I have to tell you,
like that.
I have to tell you, I met this person one time who was an underwater nuclear welder, and I thought that would be like a made-up profession, but she was legitimately somebody who did underwater welding.
And I'll bet she made a fortune.
I bet she did.
but we're not slowing down building homes. We're not slowing down putting new construction on homes, new roofs on homes, new HVAC on homes.
Well, you've got to get trucks got to transport stuff across the United States, right? I don't think drones are going to be the solution to transporting these, massive shipments. Maybe it will deliver from a warehouse to my doorstep, but it's not going to take them across country, not in the United States.
So you've got college age and younger children.
Yep.
I mean, what if they said, hey, I'm thinking about going into the trades?
I'd say, yippee, good for you.
Yeah,
So
you probably would in this day and age. I don't know that I would have.
Yeah, it's
30
for
years
me.
ago.
It's always been. It's never a one size fits all because we've had such a variety of kids that what success looks like for one is totally different for another. But it isn't one size fits all. And to quote unquote force somebody to go get a college degree when they hate it and they don't want to do it and there's not something that they want to do on the other side of it, that just seems dumb. It's just a waste of time. But also, right, I want them to be able to be happy in what they're doing. Look, my son, who's going to be an electrician, is going to make more than my daughter, who's a teacher. We just know that that's the way it's going to work.
Right. And I remember graduating from high school, and I was in the automotive industry, and a lot of my friends were saying, I'm just going to work here. They were the ones buying cars. They were the ones going out and doing things on the weekends. I was the one going to school and suffering, and it paid out for me. It worked out well, but I could completely understand them saying, I've got a good job right now. It's going to get better and better and better, and it's going to be a long time before you catch up. And it was. Admittedly, it was.
And look, I think one thing to really think about when you're looking at AI and the impacts of AI, especially on these blue collar jobs, is that you have to be flexible. So some of the skills will be turned over to AI, but not all of them, right? And so you have to be able to be flexible and be able to adapt.
Oh, I think those blue collar jobs are only going to increase in need.
Yeah. All right. So we're number one. Well, not quite. But we are in the top 10 when it comes to being the happiest state in the United States, according to new rankings by WalletHub. So what makes Utah so happy or not so happy? We're going to break that down for you next. Coming up on KSLNewsRadio.com. We're also streaming on the app, which is sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
The weather is cooling off to the lower 70s and 50s at night. Prep your home early for fall and winter with a call to At Your Service Pros, your whole home service professionals, family owned by people like you. At Your Service Pros cares about their customers and know things are tight. And to help with fall prep, they're offering $49 furnace tune-ups, $39 electrical inspections, and $75 off electrical repairs. At Your Service is all in the name. They're there for you, giving solutions without unnecessary upsell and backed by 5-star reviews. They want to earn your trust to be your go-to whole home service company for commercial and residential. And they support the community they live and serve. Save money, time, and eliminate expensive home utility repairs by using a pro all completely at your service. $49 furnace tune-ups, $39 electrical inspection, $75 off any electrical repairs, plus maintenance or replacement with straight up honest work done right, guaranteed. Call AYSP 801-YOUR-PRO at yourservicepros.com. 801-YOUR-PRO at Your Service Pros.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
This week's movie show brought to you by Sound Sleep Medical. Get a free sleep screening and a free sleep consultation by tuning in on Friday morning. Sound Sleep Medical with 7 locations in Utah.
When your reputation's on the line, you don't leave anything to chance, especially your primer. Painter's Trust Kills primers for a smooth start, strong adhesion, and serious stain-blocking power. And now, the full Kills lineup is available exclusively at the Home Depot. Need it fast? Get same-day or next-day delivery, or order online and pick up in-store. Kills primers. Pro results, faster. The Home Depot. If you're a pro, you know.
If you could hear Old Spice Fiji Antiperspirant, what would it sound like? First, you'd start with Fiji Antiperspirant's amazing scent of palm trees. Add pure notes of fresh coconut and layer on 24/7 odor and sweat protection. You won't hear any dyes or parabens because with Fiji, you won't have any. So while your regular antiperspirant sounds like this, Old Spice Fiji sounds like this. Sounds like it smells amazing.
Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cards for Kids.
KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Summer's almost over, but the heat is pressing on. If you've got battery trouble, stop by AutoZone for free battery testing. It may just need a charge, and we'll do that for free too. If you do need a battery, we've got options starting at just $89.99. And we'll recycle your old battery for free. Now that's a strong start. Don't miss the end of summer sale. Now at AutoZone until September 22nd.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
My name is Tom.
My name is Cindy.
We give to and volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
We know our time and money are going to the right places.
We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cypress Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypresscu.com today.
Inside Sources.
All right, my skills do not lie in singing, but if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. That was the beginning of the article by Lois Collins for the Deseret News that we're going to talk about today. And she says some states have more to clap about than other states. Welcome, Lois.
Hi, thank you. So actually, Walla Hub says some states have more to clap about. I just report it, so...
Tell us about happy states.
So the happiest state is reportedly Hawaii, which I kind of get.
Seems to make sense to me.
Lots of beaches, plenty of water, works for me. Maryland is number 2, Nebraska's number 3, New Jersey's number 4, Connecticut's number 5, and here we are, the Beehive State, number 6.
That's great.
So
that's pretty good.
That's not a bad ranking.
Not too bad.
Although I think there would be people who say we're probably higher, and there would be people who say we're probably lower.
No, I think Utah's. I think that number makes a lot of sense. But what were the metrics? What were they looking at?
They had 30 different things they looked at, and they were all over the place. It was from how much sleep you get to whether or not you have mental health issues, to whether you're active, volunteerism. In fact, I'll tell you where Utah was number 1 in metrics, and that'll give you an idea of the range of things that they asked about. That sports participation, we're number 1. This one kind of surprised me. Fewest work hours. That has not been my experience.
Yeah.
So I guess other people,
Utah does well in not overworking?
Yeah, not overworking, which has not been my experience, and it hasn't been the experience of anyone that I actually know, which I found kind of interesting.
And when you say sports participation, you mean people that are involved in things like
not just
bike riding.
You know, we ride bikes, we're active,
right,
we hike, we whatever. They called it sports participation.
Sure,
that's what it meant. We are, and this is a surprise to no one, number 1 when it comes to volunteering. I think that's been well known for decades. And we have the lowest separation and divorce rates. We are number 5 for considering our communities safe. So that's a pretty good ranking, but it would be nice to be number 1 and really feel safe all the time. We're number 6 in income growth and number 9 in not having long periods of unemployment, which is a good thing too. All these things are good things. We're 15 in productive. We'd probably be higher if we worked more hours, I guess. I don't know.
I feel like I work plenty of hours, but go ahead.
And we're number 18 in getting enough sleep. So that tells me that even though we're not working as many hours, we also are not sleeping away the day.
Yeah, I have a question. So you mentioned, so this is looking at happiest and least happy. I've heard before, and it's probably a different ranking, but that Utah has a higher rate of depression than some other states.
That was the category. They grouped their 30 things under 3 basic categories, and kind of the mental health, sense of purpose kind of stuff, the things that are your emotional well-being. We came in 26, which is
still not. It's still not that bad.
Not. It's we're in the middle of the pack, quite literally.
Yeah.
On that topic, but that did drag us down, or we probably would have ended up 3 or 4.
Was that one of the metrics, Lois, that we did the poorest in?
It was our worst. I think we have a lot of depression. We have a fair amount of mental illness that's been diagnosed, and so that was definitely a drag on our number. Interestingly enough, New Jersey has the least depression.
Interesting.
And by the way, Vermont gets the most sleep.
Well, maybe it's because it's dark there all the time.
I don't know.
So far north.
They used really credible surveys and different metrics to get these things. They pulled the data from a lot of sources to get these. So I don't think you can really discount any of it, but it's interesting because, of course, most of this is self-reported. How are you going to know how much sleep I get unless I tell you I get 5 hours or 6 hours or 28 hours?
Can't you wear a watch or something that tells you?
Yeah, but nobody's really gathering that data, or at least supposedly nobody's really gathering that data.
Right, unless you're hooked up to something.
So, yeah.
Right. So what would have made, I'm looking, West Virginia is at the bottom. I mean, what is it about that state that makes it?
The areas at the bottom, there's a fair amount of poverty, there's food insecurity, there's a higher level of obesity, just general health is not necessarily as good. And I want to circle back to the mental health, by the way, for one more minute. I just had a fleeting thought and I'm grabbing it. A Gallup poll, which had nothing to do with this study, asked people how satisfied they were with their lives, and it found that in America, only 44% say they're very satisfied.
Not even half.
Another 37% say they're somewhat satisfied. Those numbers, again, different poll, were much lower in Louisiana, in West Virginia, and in some of the states that did not fare as well in the Wallet Hub. So I think it leads some credence that there really are connections to these things.
So if Hawaii is our number 1 happiest state, it's also the number 1 most expensive state.
Oh, yeah.
Does that mean money can buy happiness?
So money, they say, and this is a number of studies, not just this one, they say that up to $75,000, having more money makes you happier. Above that, it can make you happier, but it's much more incremental. But people who don't make it to $75,000 tend to be less happy than those who do.
You do have to have enough for basic needs,
yeah,
right?
We know you have to. And every community, you've got to consider, too, that every state has different cost of living, different economic circumstances. So, you can be super happy probably. My kid keeps looking at Cleveland as a place that's affordable to live.
Yeah.
She's like, I could buy 3 houses.
Right.
There. I can't buy a quarter of a house here.
Right.
So,
do you want to live in Cleveland?
I don't know. I think it's.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I've never been there.
I think it'd be wonderful. Has there been any history in this study, Lois? That is to say, do we know if Utah's getting better or worse, or?
We have. I think historically we've been in the top 10. We're not really getting worse. I think we bounce around. I think the top 5 positions tend to kind of shift a little bit year to year, and I don't think we've ever been number 1 in this particular study.
Well, I'm looking at one of your things that you noted and the way they weight things, right?
So, the weighting is very interesting.
Yeah, so you get less weight on volunteering, but ideal weather is 3 times the weight.
And I don't know. So I think we have pretty good weather, but then I think about the inversions and I think what goes into weather.
I know.
You count air quality,
what does that
environment, mean? So they weighted depression quite high, which makes sense because depression really does, and it impacts your happiness.
Right.
But yeah, to really understand this study, I think you have to be more of a demographer than I am. And I think you shift these things even slightly in how you weight them, and you probably get different results.
It's interesting that sleep and sleep patterns come into this, but you don't think about that in terms of happiness, but we probably should. None of us really pay as much attention to something like that, Lois, as we should.
I have come to believe that it's incredibly important to not only happiness, but to productivity, to mental health.
Oh, yeah.
I may have told you this before. I had a child that I literally thought had some mental health issues, and it turned out that we straightened out her sleep.
And it made all the difference.
Solved it.
Yeah, it's physical and mental health. Look, I've worked graveyards before. I've got kids who are working graveyards right now, adult children. It's really hard, right? It's dangerous. When you're driving, your decision making is poor. You're cranky. You don't feel good.
Is hard, but we each have a different circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
And so maybe you would thrive at night and I wouldn't. So yeah.
Well, I don't know, the all-nighters, right? I can get up late. I mean, I can stay up late and I can get up early, but I cannot stay up all night. Not like I used to.
I'm a cat napper.
Yeah.
Saves my life.
When you do stay up late and get up early, it's probably not your happiest day either.
Right.
At least that's how I am.
Right.
Getting my sleep, I'm a whole lot happier.
Well, thanks for joining us with that, Lois. And we're number 6. We can work our way up to number 1. Actually, probably not. How do you compete with Hawaii? I don't even know. Look, Senate Republicans are preparing to go nuclear, and that does not mean lose their minds, although maybe. We'll go live to D.C. and get the latest from Deseret News congressional correspondent Cami Mondo after the break. So stay with us on KSL News Radio.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Kelly. KSL's top story this hour. Police in Cottonwood Heights are the latest to warn people about the dangers of e-bikes, especially when people don't follow the rules. There has been a surge in crashes lately around the state involving e-bikes, and some have been deadly, including one involving a 13-year-old in Farmington. Police Sergeant Adam Hansen spoke to us about another deadly crash in Farmington.
What you're buying, what the classification is, where they can be used, where they cannot be used. And please buy the protective equipment that's needed.
There are different classifications for e-bikes based on their power and if you need to pedal them. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Jury selection continues today in Florida at the trial of the man accused of attempting to assassinate President Donald Trump at a Florida golf course. ABC's Aaron Katursky says Ryan Ruth is representing himself and is being limited by what he can do.
The judge has said she does not want the trial to devolve into controlled chaos, so she's allowing Ryan Ruth some wiggle room, but not a lot. She rejected a lot of his witnesses that he wanted to bring, people opposed to Trump's policies, Trump himself. So his case is going to be limited to friends and family. Some people that can attest maybe to his character.
The judge rebuked Ruth for some of his questions to potential jurors, calling them politically charged. Your money at this moment, the Dow has gained 107 points, the S&P 500 is up 6, and the NASDAQ is also gaining 23 points this hour. Coming up, a bit of rain possible this week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
There's a photo my wife took of me, sitting crisscross on the floor playing Legos with my boys. Might not sound like much, but back in 2020, I couldn't get down there without pain, let alone enjoy it. After 16 weeks on soda and 82 pounds gone, that picture means everything. It's proof that I'm not just present in my kid's life, but I'm active, engaged, and I'm healthy. Soda didn't just give me a plan. It gave me a partner, a personal nutritionist who helped me every step. Through grocery store trips, family vacations, late night cravings, you name it. If you're a parent who wants to be there, not just someday, but right now, go to sodaweightloss.com. Click the Request a Nutritionist callback. That's SOTAWeightLoss.com. SOTA stands for state of the art. SOTAWeightLoss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
I am not a rich woman, but I feel like a rich woman every time I go in my closet. The best, hands down, present I've ever received was my husband secretly redid my closet with Closets by Design. So now when I go in there aren't all these shoes just junked on the floor. They're neatly sitting on their shelves. And my necklaces are hanging on their individual hooks, and earrings are in their little squares in this soft drawer that pulls out. It's just gorgeous. In fact, he saw how much I loved it. He had Closets by Design redo the garage. So now all the stuff, the tools, the toys, the junk is all in cabinets. When you open our garage door, you see cars. That's it. It's amazing. The things that Closets by Design can do, and it's going to save you money right now because you get up to 40% off plus an additional 15% off with 18-month financing. You can do so much with your closet, much more than you realize, with this wonderful Utah company, Closets by Design. Find out more at 1-800-BY-DESIGN or closetsbydesign.com.
You worked hard for your 401k, but if you've left your job, your money might be sitting in the wrong hands. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and it's very possible that the 401k that you have had for years has hidden fees and limited investment choices. But if you're no longer with the company, that 401k may be at the mercy of your former employer. All of these things could be costing you thousands. Rolling over your 401k into an IRA can provide better investment options that align with your long-term goals. At Trajan Wealth, we're fiduciary advisors that are held to a higher standard with no hidden agenda and no hidden fees. Don't let your retirement dollars sit in an old plan, and don't roll it over to your new plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services are offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. We have good speeds on most of the roadways, but we do have a report of a crash northbound I-15 right near 5600 South in Roy. Doesn't appear to be causing any slowdowns, but you may want to use a bit of caution. And you're also going to encounter still a lot of orange barrels pretty much anywhere you want to go, and that could also slow you down from time to time. Fall in Alta is here, and so is your exclusive locals offer. Snow Pine Lodge is giving Utah residents 20% off lodging. Get away from the daily hustle and enjoy mountain mornings and golden colors. Visit snowpine.com. A high today of 81 with mostly cloudy skies. Our best chance for rain is tomorrow night with a low of 59 degrees and cooler temps into the weekend. Right now, it's 81 degrees and mostly cloudy. I'm Heather Kelly from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So I mentioned before the break that Senate Republicans are getting ready to go nuclear, and it doesn't mean that they're going to lose their minds, although sometimes it feels like they are. It actually is a process that they use in the Senate so that they can go from the 2/3 majority required to just 50% required. So they call it the nuclear option.
But I guess I'm wondering when that goes into place. Now, right now, Republicans are frustrated because they've got more than 100 judicial appointment nominations that have not been approved because the Democrats won't come to the table. And I think what they're saying is, let's just get these judges appointed and get them on the bench.
Well, I think that's why it's nuclear option. So luckily we have Cami Mondo with us. She's the Deseret News congressional correspondent, and she's live in D.C. Thanks for joining us again, Cami.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Can you just explain basically what does it mean to go nuclear?
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's a very rarely used procedure, but basically, as you were saying, it kind of lowers the threshold for something to be passed. Normally, in the Senate, you have to reach that 60-vote threshold to end a filibuster. But with this, basically, what Senate Majority Leader John Thune is going to try to do is put up this resolution that would confirm about 40 or 60 of these nominations at once. That obviously is not going to get the 60 votes needed. And so what Thune is going to do is kind of raise a point of order to object the 60-vote procedure. That's also going to be rejected, but then he's going to have to appeal that. And so with appealing that, that kind of sets up this whole procedure for changing Senate rules, and that only requires a simple majority.
Why are we here, Cammie? I mean, what's happening with respect to Democrats that's holding all of this up, or Republicans?
Yes, as we've seen over the last few weeks, last few months, a lot of these nominees that Trump is trying to push through, judicial nominations, other nominations within his White House, they've been delayed by Democrats who are basically using every single tool in their toolbox to try and delay these votes, whether it's through just objecting on the floor, having to go through committee. And so basically that's really angered President Trump. It's really frustrated Republicans because they have to go through these nominations under current rules, one by one. And so right now Republicans are going to try and change the rules so that they can just package a bunch of these up together and confirm nominees all together at once.
So I have to admit, I don't understand completely. If you're gonna go through these procedural steps that say that you finally get to the outcome where you don't need to have 2/3, you only need a majority, then how are they going to package up these judicial nominees all in one lump sum, 130 something?
So they're not going to do all 130 at once. And this latest one, it only had a couple dozen in there at first, and it kind of had some of the easier nominees to pass. But that is kind of the idea, that they would package, like 30 to 40 to 50 different nominees in one package so that it kind of quickens the process. Because, June was mentioning earlier this week that if they were going to go one by one on all of the judges they have in the queue right now, it would take them until, maybe even the end of the year, if not longer. It would take up to maybe 600 votes, he said. And he kind of compared that to be like all of the votes we've taken so far this year has not even been 600 votes. And so they're really just trying to quicken this process to put Trump's nominees in place.
Cammie, is there a history for this, either by the Republicans or the Democrats? I mean, it would seem that, if you can have this nuclear option and say 50 plus 1 is going to carry the day when normally it's 60, I think you said. I don't know why we don't do it more often.
Right, and so it is something that is rarely used. It has been used before. The last time it was used in 2019 by then Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to kind of reduce the required time for debate on some nominees. But the reason that this is not used very often, so it's called the nuclear option because they kind of compare it to like nuclear warfare. This thing, the last option you should ever try to take in the Senate. The Senate really prides itself on being what they call the deliberative body. Almost everything that you do in the Senate has to be bipartisan. So they really pride themselves on it. But by using this nuclear option, you're basically taking that bipartisan veil away, and this is completely putting in a partisan process. So that's why it's kind of a last-minute option. It's something that's not used very often, especially for those more traditional senators. And that's why you're seeing a lot of Democrats are a little bit upset about it. Some Democrats are not as upset because they've kind of proposed this before in the past. But you're kind of seeing this very rarely used, and that's why not many people know how it works.
So with this nuclear option, if they use this for judicial nominees, will this go away, or will this last the rest of this congressional term? How does that work?
It will effectively change the chamber rule around these nominees. And so from now on, they no longer have to do the one by one. It can be packaged up, and that'll remain a rule in the chamber unless that's changed later down the road.
And Cammie, the nominees, the people that we're talking about, notwithstanding whatever the number happens to be, are we talking about judges, administrative appointments, executive appointments? What are we talking about typically?
Right, and so it does have some restrictions. So it's mostly for lower level executive positions. So it doesn't include any cabinet nominees. It wouldn't include any circuit court judges for those, those high courts. But it would kind of just be different areas inside the White House that Trump has been trying to fill, but maybe he has a nominee that, Chuck Schumer yesterday on the floor was saying that a lot of Trump's nominees are just not up to what Democrats would want. And so, it's a lot of allies, a lot of yes men for Trump. And so they're lower level appointees. So they wouldn't exactly touch Supreme Court or the cabinet or anything like that.
So the last time that the nuclear option was used, you mentioned it was Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell at the time, who was Republican, and that passed, but Senator Mike Lee voted against it. I am going to make a guess that he is for this option. Is that true?
Yes, that would be correct. He did vote against that in 2019, but what I've heard from him and what he's told me so far is that he's been really frustrated with all of the delays that Democrats have put in, and so he's very much on board with kind of opening the floodgates for Trump to get his nominees approved.
And so, Cammie, how and when will we know if this is going forward?
Right, and so John Thune basically started the process last night. We're going to see a vote either later today or tomorrow where, that's the one that will get rejected, and then he's going to appeal. And what he was saying yesterday is he expects that this could approve the rule change by early next week. With the Senate rules and kind of their timing, it's a little bit hard to predict an exact day, but I think next week is probably the earliest we're going to see this.
Thank you, Cammie. That we've been speaking with Cammie Monto, Deseret News congressional correspondent. And I will just say, if you want to know, just look for Cammie's articles because I'm sure she will tell us.
Right. And I think there's good and bad to this. If we're hanging up judicial appointments, that's not helping the judicial system. And if we're hanging them up because we think that they're Trump appointees, I mean, as we've seen from the bench, and I'm preaching here a little bit, judges don't always follow the line of reasoning that you think they're going to just because of who they were appointed by.
Right. And not only that, right, but this is one of the things, and one of the reasons I think she said the nuclear option is like it's your last ditch thing. If Republicans do this, and it sounds like they will, the next time Democrats have control and Republicans try to cause a logjam, they'll just do this because now there's going to be precedent.
That's exactly right.
Yep. Okay, we heard it didn't exist. Now, Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers have released a birthday book that contains a letter purported to be from President Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday. That's coming up next. We're streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
September means it's time for Any Hour Services free furnace sale. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and as summer comes to a close and falls right around the corner, the weather gets, well, perfect. And when the weather's perfect, people need a little extra incentive to replace their heating and cooling system. That's where Any Hour Services free furnace sale comes in. For the month of September, when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free. You just pay the labor. And there's no catch. There's no raising the price on the air conditioner first. There's no making you buy the most expensive air conditioner to qualify. There's none of that. There's just a desire to keep our technicians working while the weather's mild and a genuine appreciation of you for helping us keep them busy. So if you've been thinking about replacing your old furnace and air conditioner and want to know exactly how much you can save during our free furnace sale, call Any Hour Services today and schedule a free estimate. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Fall is football season. Hi, this is Doug Wright. You know me as Utah's Mr. Sports, and I know that nothing goes better with fall football than looking forward to a delicious meal after the game at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. We're so fortunate we've got 2 locations, one in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City at 275 Southwest Temple, or of course up in the Park City area at Hotel Park City. You can count on the meal prepared perfectly to your tastes. Each and every steak is served sizzling hot on a 500-degree plate, and if you happen to not be in the mood for steak, their entrees are incredible, from seafood to poultry. Sometimes they have specialty entrees on the menu, and of course their desserts are legendary, and the side dishes that you pass around the table to share are wonderful. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. It's fall. It's time to enjoy football and a delicious meal from Ruth's Chris.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for kids, teens, or young adults. It's just not.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals and volatile organic compounds into your body.
And nicotine, the same highly addictive substance found in regular cigarettes.
Nicotine can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s,
affecting learning, memory, attention, and impulse control, and priming the brain for other addictions.
Vaping products also come in kid-friendly flavors that can make them appealing to youth.
And many kids also use other drugs, like marijuana, in vaping devices.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping, because when you talk, they hear you.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. The Social Security Administration just announced they are now projected to run out of money 1 year earlier than expected. Benefits could be cut by as much as 23%. And the average person could lose more than $100,000 in lifetime income. This news could significantly change when you file for Social Security. Discover how you could get every penny out of your benefits with a free Social Security analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $300,000 and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. This free, customized analysis could help you get every penny out of Social Security. Call 801-896-9622. That number again, 801-896-9622.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
All in together now, we can make it better. Can we do it? We rope it up. Because we know how to jump.
Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
The new Inside Sources.
As we get more and more interested and curious about the Jeffrey Epstein files, we are looking now at the Jeffrey Epstein book. And this is apparently a birthday book that was given to him on his 50th birthday, which was in 2003.
Yeah.
Which included a bunch of letters from individuals who are friends of his. And if you can expect, the 50-year-old gets book letters from individuals. They're going to be snarky. They're going to be funny.
You've mentioned this before. My 50th was not like that.
Well, mine wasn't either. But you can go to gift stores and they have things for men's 50th birthday. Trust me, and they can be lurid. They can be silly. They can be funny. I mean, my 50th wasn't like that at all either. But I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. The letter. One letter that was allegedly written by Donald Trump has gotten a lot of people's attention too, because it's kind of like a poem, and it looks like sort of a give and take between he and Epstein, and it's drawn on a silhouette of a woman's body.
Yeah.
It was written as a part of a book of, like I said, by his closest friends for his 50th birthday. It was released by a committee investigating the Epstein case, though committee chairman Kentucky's James Comer was evasive to say whether or not they believe the letter actually belonged to Trump.
Well, I haven't looked at the signature yet. We've been focused more on the AutoPen signatures from the previous administration that signed all of the pardons and executive orders.
But you've surely seen the letter. Do you believe the president signed it?
The president says he did not sign it, so I take the president at his word.
Well,
how this gets to AutoPen and Joe Biden, I don't know, but it's best defense.
So remember, the Wall Street Journal came out with this in, I think it was July, and said that they had seen a copy of the book, they had seen a copy of this letter, and that they told President Trump, we're going to release this story. It's got this information in it. Do you want to respond? And he said, I'll sue you if you release it. And they released it. and he sued them for $10 billion.
Right.
And again, it's continuing to be released. But this time it wasn't released by the Wall Street Journal. This was released by Jeffrey Epstein's estate, which is interesting, right? It was his estate that said, look, here's a copy. And the person who compiled it was Ghislaine Maxwell. She was the one who solicited the
letters.
Birthday wishes.
Right.
Yeah, birthday wishes. So we know that there were other people as well. Former President Bill Clinton is supposedly there. We know that Alan Dershowitz, Harvard Law School professor, is in there. Bear Stearns CEO Alan Greenberg is in there, sending birthday wishes.
So I'm looking at the letter, and they describe it as a lurid letter. I don't know if it's lurid. I mean, the drawing
it's the
is
outline of a woman's
it's
body,
weird,
yeah.
And some of the, but the comments themselves are just silly banter between two men. I don't know that it's. Maybe people are reading between the lines, and there was certainly a lot going on. If you consider the entire Epstein affair and everything that's alleged to have been occurring there at the estate.
Well, I think
guess you can
affair
read
being the operative word
Right,
here.
right.
Right. I mean, one of the things, right, is there's a silhouette, and it looks like the silhouette of a naked woman's body, and then Donald Trump's signature in maybe inappropriate position. And he says it's not his signature. Other people say it most clearly is his signature. Look, you also have attorneys for the victims. Remember, they just had a press conference last week where they were talking about their experience being victimized by Jeffrey Epstein and his associates, including the current president. And they just said, look, the most important thing is not whether there's a birthday book or not book. It's that these victims actually have the full files released, because that's what they need. They want full transparency. And this mostly is just a distraction.
Right. And it has been all along. And so the letter's released, and people are sort of going back and forth. And before it was released, you mentioned this. Trump told the Wall Street Journal, if you release the letter, I will sue you. Now, again, they didn't. He sued them anyway. They did whatever they did with the letter. But I have to bet this, just being an attorney for 43 years, that somebody at the Wall Street Journal took the letter, took the signature, and spent a boatload on handwriting experts to have somebody tell them that's consistent with Donald Trump's signature. And everybody's signature is different, and there are all kinds of, I mean, I've talked to these handwriting experts, and they look at things that you and I wouldn't even dream about in terms of deciding what a person has written and what their style is. So I'm just surmising. I have no inside information whatsoever, but I'm just surmising that before the Wall Street Journal published this or did what they were going to do with it, somebody looked at that signature and said, that's Donald Trump's.
Well, you have over 200 executive orders now that you can look at.
Right, yeah. We've got a pretty good
signature. But look, again, this is a situation where these are not going to go away, and we've swung back and forth between we have the files, we're going to release the files. Never mind, there's nothing in the files. Now it's the files are a hoax. Over the weekend, we had Speaker of the House Mike Johnson claim and then back away from President Trump was with Epstein, but he was an FBI informant. Now he's backed away from that and said, no, actually he's not or wasn't. Right? I mean, it's clear to me that there are people who don't want this information released. But when you campaign on, we're going to release the files, we're going to release Martin Luther King, we're going to release the true files about the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and we're going to release the Epstein files, and you've got 2 out of 3, but you're not getting the third, people have questions.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. But you know, as we're starting to learn more about these letters, we also, like you said, the Epstein files. Everyone wants the Epstein files. Last week we heard from the alleged Epstein victims who really want the information released, and there were some prominent Republicans present for that.
That's right.
Who are saying we want the files released. So. My guess is when it comes to Congress deciding what's going to be released, there are going to be some Republicans that flip over to the Democratic side and say, "Yeah, release them," because we know Democrats.
That's right. It's not just that. It's forcing the Department of Justice to turn them over. So they have a discharge petition that would say if you get 218 members of the House to sign on to this petition, you need 6 Republicans and all of the Democrats. So right now, as far as I am aware, there are 4. There's Thomas Massie, who is the one doing the discharge petition, and then there are 3 women. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace. All of them are strong supporters of President Donald Trump, but they continue to say this information is important and it needs to get out there. They also have now said, I've seen online, that they do have the 218, but they haven't made it publicly available or publicly known who the last 2 people are, but they say they have the 218.
So that means it'll come to the table.
So what that means is they'll bring it forward to a vote, and because of that, it will force the Speaker of the House to hold a vote, whether he wants to or not. And then if you assume that the same 218 who want to bring it to a vote also vote to release the files, then the DOJ will be forced to release the files.
So I think a lot of our listeners, Holly, might wonder why the book is different than the files. I mean, if we're releasing Jeffrey Epstein information, and maybe because Ghislaine had the book and she just released it on her own and Congress has the files. I don't know, and I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here, but I'm just wondering why some things have been released and others not.
Well, that's a good question, and we know last week over 30,000 pages were released, but the thing with that is that they were, most of them, 97+%, had already been released. So we're talking about boxes and boxes and boxes of documents, everything from client lists, right? That's one of the key things that's important. We've got information about Ghislaine and the way that she trafficked victims. And if you remember, she has been convicted and sentenced to serve 20 years for sex trafficking. She's been moved to a minimum security prison now, but she is convicted on sex trafficking. So you have DOJ files, you've got legal files from other things, you've got, this one came from his estate, so part of his estate, right? So it may be that there's duplication. I would assume that there would be, but there are different people who have different ones, and what they're asking for, the victims and the people who want to see the full file, they want to see everything that the Department of Justice has when they did their investigation.
Well, it sounds like we're getting a step or two closer to that, and we have the letter now, the lurid letter that we've been talking about that has resulted in a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit, and we'll see where that shakes out. Well, it's official. The Utah Grizzlies hockey team is officially now leaving Utah. We learn more about this official, why do we keep saying that word, announcement with Jay Stevens from KSL's Utah Puck Report podcast. Remember, stay with us on KSL News Radio. You can stream us on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. That's official. We'll be right back.
It's officially 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Becky Bruce. KSL's top local story this hour. A hiker in Kane County only had minor injuries after being swept 300 feet downstream in a flash flood. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
2 hikers were exploring a wash near a hole in the rock road when a thunderstorm hit the area and water started pouring down the canyon. It swept one of them away. The Kane County Sheriff's Office says the man was able to eventually climb a tree to get out of the water. Then a Department of Public Safety helicopter, it hoisted him to safety.
The same storm also trapped 7 vehicles when dirt roads were washed out. Rescue crews had to rebuild those roads in order to get everyone to safety. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. More than 1 million Ford and Lincolns from model years 2015 to 2019 are being recalled because of faulty rear view cameras. In some cases, the cameras either go blank or distort images in reverse. So far, Ford's aware of at least 18 accidents, but no injuries. Owners of affected Ford and Lincoln vehicles will be notified by mail to bring their cars to the dealer. Your money at this moment, all in positive territory. The Dow's up about 0.33%, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ up about 0.2. Coming up, a cool down coming for the weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
If you've been quoted for a new furnace or AC and it felt more like a sales pitch than a solution, you're not alone. Many home service companies in Utah have been bought out by big corporations focused on profits, not people. At Your Service Pros is different. Locally owned, family operated, 5-star rated, and trusted by Utah families for over 20 years. Let them help you with their $49 furnace tune-ups, $39 electrical inspections, and $75 off electrical repairs. Because they know things are tight and want to help you prep your home affordably. Get a free second opinion because you deserve honest answers. If your system can be repaired, they'll fix it. If it needs replacing, they'll show you affordable options. Their goal is to earn your trust, not upsell you. Let At Your Service Pros be your pro and go-to for heating, air, plumbing, and electrical. Call 801-YOUR-PRO or online at atyourservicepros.com. At Your Service Pros, 801-YOUR-PRO.
Back to school shopping. It's basically like a sport. The kids want new shoes, new jeans, new colors, new everything. And honestly, they're not wrong. They've grown. Their style has changed, and apparently, last year's hoodie is embarrassing. So we make a quick trip to the mountains. Junction Commons Park City has cooler temps, fresh air, and way better deals. Sneakers? We hit Nike Factory, Adidas, and Vans Outlet. Clothes? Abercrombie & Fitch, American Eagle, Gap Factory, J. Crew Factory, Buckle, all the brands they want without draining my wallet. And while they're shopping, I get a little mountain escape, a latte in hand, cool breeze, and a few peaceful moments to myself. Honestly, it's the kind of back-to-school tradition I can get behind.
Junction Commons Park City. Cooler temps, hotter deals, and one very relieved parent.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business calm at ooma.com/radio.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account. Here's Ricky Meese.
Right now we have a good drive on all the Valley freeways. No accidents, no delays on the main flow. A small crash in Weber County that's in the clearing stages, but it's on the exit ramp from northbound I-15 at 5600 South in Roy. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy and breezy today, the same tomorrow, highs in the upper 80s. We start cooling down after that with 81 on Thursday and then back into the 70s over the weekend. Right now, mostly cloudy and 82 degrees. I'm Becky Bruce from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
This is some sad, maybe melancholy, but not necessarily surprising news. The Utah Grizzlies hockey team is officially leaving Utah. The East Coast Hockey League Board of Governors approved the transfer of the controlling interest of the Utah Grizzlies membership from Grizzlies Hockey Club LLC to Pro Hockey Partners LLC, who will relocate the team to Trenton, New Jersey at the conclusion of this upcoming season, the 25-26 season. So the team's been sold to a group that's moving the team to, at least my understanding, to Trenton, New Jersey.
You know, I don't know a whole lot about hockey, but I know that they've been here for a while. And it makes me think, I wonder if they're going to have the Grizzlies name, if that will continue. But it was like the Jazz, right? That we have the Utah Jazz, but they came from New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time you keep the franchise name, and for that very reason, because there's some continuity there. This is a minor league hockey club, and I suppose, the owners can probably call it anything they want, but the franchise is called the Grizzlies. And to me, the reason I said it's not surprising and disappointing, sad, I guess, is because it has been a big part of our Utah community. They played here for years. They've been very popular. They play out at the Maverick Center, which is a really beautiful venue for hockey. Let's face it, the Delta Center isn't set up quite as I don't know what the word is for hockey. It's not designed for hockey as much as the Maverick Center is. They played out there. It's a smaller venue, and of course the NHL wants a bigger venue. They want a bigger team. They want a pro team. And to me, it was hard to think how the Grizzlies were going to survive anyway, because while we are becoming more and more of a hockey town, supporting two teams didn't seem like it was that viable.
I think there's a tier difference in ticket prices, but we have Jay Stevens with us. He's the host of KSL's Utah Puck Report podcast. And Jay, can you break it down for us? Why are the Grizzlies leaving?
This honestly has nothing to do with the Utah Mammoth. The ticket sales were increasing for the Grizzlies. They went up almost 20% last year. The problem was the ownership, with the main owner dying almost 2 seasons ago, and now his wife is ill. The family just didn't want to keep this team in the business, in their business structure, and they just, found the first buyer and went with it. I think if they would have waited a while, they could have kept the team in. I do expect minor league hockey to come back to Utah.
Why do you say that, Jay? Although you articulated at the very outset why you said that, because ticket prices have gone up, but we're not a huge market, and we have NHL. So I guess to me, I don't understand why we would have two hockey clubs in the same city.
Yeah, it's actually the template right now for NHL teams to have their AAA affiliate within the same city. It's happened all over the West Coast. It's happened in Colorado. It's happened in Las Vegas, where they have the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and just down the street they have the Henderson Silver Knights, which is their AAA affiliate. It works out because hockey's booming in Utah, and the Grizzlies are such a great ticket price for most families. Most families can't afford to go to an NHL game. To take a family of 5 or 6, you're looking at $1,500, and you could take a family of 5 or 6 to a Grizzlies game for less than $100. So it's family affordable. And the more hockey grows here, the more the NHL gets attention, the more people are going to want to see other levels. So you'll see ticket sales increase at the college level. You'll probably even see a couple of our colleges go NCAA, because right now they're club level. You're just going to see hockey keep growing. And like I said, the Maverick Center is one of the best buildings for hockey. It was built for hockey. It was built for the Olympic gold medal game. And it's just not right to leave it empty. So I think the Maverick Center is going to find another client, and it'll have something to do with the Utah Mammoth within the next couple seasons. I'm sure next year it'll be empty, but expect to see minor league hockey back.
Jay, I didn't realize this. Were the Grizzlies a minor league affiliate to the Mammoth?
No, they were supposed to be this year. They're affiliated with the Colorado Avalanche this year, and they were going to split affiliate this year. And it still might happen. I asked the question last week, and I didn't get a straight answer, if the Mammoth were going to put some players there. Typically, you'll see an NHL team put a highly drafted goalie in the ECHL, and then maybe a few players that went later rounds in the draft, players that they think might develop into an NHL player but aren't good enough to be in the AHL yet. It's really similar to the way baseball's structured, where you have A, AA, and AAA. And the Grizzlies are currently the AA affiliate for the Colorado Avalanche, and I think they're going to have a few Mammoth players assigned there this season as well.
So you're clearly the expert here. What kind of a loss is this for the state of Utah?
This is a huge loss, and it's for so many people. This was family entertainment. So, and maybe it's only 6,000 people compared to 20,000, Mammoth fans. But you had 6,000 to 10,000 fans that wanted to be at the Grizzlies games. They've been going their entire lives. This is what they grew up doing. The Grizzlies have been here for 31 years. And so it's just devastating for a lot of the community. And somebody like me, I have a lot of ties with the Grizzlies. I help promote the Grizzlies. I've been the e-bug for the Grizzlies and played for the Grizzlies. So there's a lot of other Utah players that grew up, idolizing Grizzlies players, and then we had a few that played for the Grizzlies within the last few years. So it's hard for those families that was the entertainment value they could afford, and now that's just gone.
What's been the response so far from the Mammoth, their leaders and their owners, if anything?
Basically silence. Ryan Smith has a very silent approach when it comes to he hates seeing people lose their jobs, and there's going to be a lot of people here in Utah losing their jobs for this. So I know he's against that. I know conversations had gone on about, when they could get their heads above water with just getting an NHL team, they were going to look down the road at figuring out their minor league system different than where it's structured right now, with our AAA affiliate being in Tucson. They're going to want to change that stuff, but they're, still they just got an NHL team last year, and now they've got a practice facility and redone the Delta Center, and they still manage the Jazz. So they're, they've got a lot going on, and they've been pretty quiet about, what's been happening with the Utah Grizzlies. But I know at least at some point they were in their thought process.
So did the Grizzlies get one more season then?
Yeah, we get one more season with the Grizzlies, and it's going to be emotional and it's going to be fun. I expect ticket sales to go up because a lot of people are going to want to go for that last game or their last 10-game pack, and you're going to see a lot of people posting about emotional memories about Grizzlies, whether it's first dates or going with their dads or all those things that pro sports bring to families.
Are the ticket prices significantly different? That is to say, the Grizzlies. Is that because they're not an NHL franchise? Are they that big of a difference in prices?
It's a huge difference. You can get a Grizzlies ticket for $6, and you can sit. You can go find great seats in that building for $25. I don't think you can get anywhere near. I know that they did some $10 tickets last year with the Mammoth and the Upper Bowl, but you're typically looking $200 to go to an NHL game per ticket. So yeah, the ticket prices are a lot less to go to a Grizzlies game.
Last question, somewhat unrelated. How are the Mammoth doing in terms of support from the community? Are ticket sales good there?
Oh yeah, almost every game was sold out last year. Like every game technically was a sellout for the unobstructed seats, and then they would open up other seats and sell those out immediately as well. Most trying to get season tickets right now is so hard because they're all sold out. The fans showed up, and the Mammoths are just taking over. You see their logo everywhere. Everywhere I go, I see, I see, because I'm looking for it, obviously, but I see the stickers on cars. Like, the community has jumped behind the Utah Mammoth, and now everybody's behind the name, now that we've got that behind us. And it's so cool to see hockey just kind of taking over this market.
Yeah, it has been.
Thanks so much for joining us. That was Jay Stevens, host of KSL's Utah Puck Report podcast. Now, techie guy that you are, I'm sure you know about this. Apple's annual event full of what they call awe-dropping updates is underway right now. We're going to have the latest details on Apple's latest tech, including the thinnest iPhone ever. Straight ahead.
Everybody knows that exterior remodeling salespeople are all about the high-pressure sell. Am I right? Windows, siding, gutters, those suckers are going to twist your arm and get you to buy, or they won't leave your house at night. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and I want you to know we don't have high-pressure cells. In fact, we don't even have salespeople. Nope, we have estimators. That's a huge difference. Estimators are trained to look at the entire scope of the project, to see and know if there are any problems, like rotten wood, wood-borne insects, or construction issues specific to your house or your neighbors. Salespeople are more concerned about playing those silly price games. Buy one, get one free, sign today and get 40% off, as if they didn't just jack the price up to give you a fake discount. RGS Exteriors estimators are going to give you a great quote. No games, no tricks, no nonsense. Call RGS Exteriors to quote your exterior project. Our number is 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install a Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Shop with any Mountain America credit or debit card for a chance to win a $5,000 vacation voucher. Simply tap, insert, swipe, or click to be entered to win now until October 31st. Use any card, win any trip from Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/anycard for official rules or to apply. Loans on approved credit. Membership required based on eligibility. Insured by NCUA. Limited time offer. Offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. You know, in Box Elder County, they're all about the bucket list. Want to go birding at the premier birding destination in the western United States? Well, check off the Bear River Migratory Bird Refuge. How about land art? The spiral jetty and sun tunnels will leave you inspired. Or stand on the spot where the Union and Central Pacific Railroads joined and forged the destiny of a nation. Yep, Golden Spike National Historical Park is like no other place. Check. Splash, boat, camp, or fish your day away? Willard Bay State Park will guarantee a good time. Soak in a natural hot spring with the highest mineral content in the world? That would be Crystal Hot Springs. You'll feel rejuvenated. Eat at Utah's original steakhouse. Maddox Ranch House is perfection. Check. A 1920s diner. The Idle Owl Cafe will transport you back in time. As you empty your Box Elder County bucket list, you'll find a whole new set of adventures to fill it up again. Fill up your bucket list at visitboxeldercounty.com.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. The Delta Center, home to the Utah Jazz and Utah Mammoth, is Utah's premier sports and entertainment venue, hosting over 320 events each year and drawing nearly 1.8 million guests. It's a vital downtown destination. Here to share more is President of the Utah Jazz, Jim Olson.
Utah's sports entertainment landscape was transformed when NHL hockey arrived in Salt Lake City last year, doubling the number of professional sports events at the Delta Center and bringing an additional influx of visitors from across the state and beyond. Hockey's arrival also provided the opportunity to create an even better fan experience at the Delta Center. In April, Smith and Entertainment Group began a multi-year renovation to transform the arena into a world-class dual sport venue. This summer, we implemented a one-of-a-kind seating system that maintains close to the action seating for Jazz fans while also providing full views from every lower bowl seat for NHL games. This new seating system preserves the Delta Center's famous game night atmosphere and bolsters its reputation as the premier destination for concerts and live entertainment. As we prepare for the return of events this fall, we look forward to showcasing the first phase of the Delta Center innovations that will make every fan's experience even more memorable.
To explore upcoming events and see renovation progress, visit deltacenter.com. The upgrades underway are shaping the future of sports and entertainment in Utah. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Inside Sources.
Apple is expected to announce a slew of new tech today. That's already over my head. At an event the company says will feature, quote, awe-dropping updates. Apple may introduce a new iPhone, new AirPods, and a new Apple Watch.
I think they have actually introduced most of those already. So I've seen like images before. It's tons of hoopla. We have ABC's technology reporter Mike Dubusky with us to talk about what is new with the iPhones this year.
The big new news here, guys, is a new version of the iPhone. So in addition to the normal sort of base level phone and the pro level phones that we get, there's a new SKU in this lineup, and they're calling it the iPhone Air, the iPhone 17 Air to be specific. This is a phone that is only 5.6 millimeters thick. That is about the thickness of a yoga mat, if you can kind of put that in your head. It follows a trend that we've observed in the smartphone market over the last few months here. Samsung releasing an ultra slim version of its flagship phone called the Galaxy S25 Edge earlier this year. It does have a titanium frame, which is used on other iPhone models, and Apple calls it its most durable design yet, trying to kind of immediately head off some of the concerns around durability that we often discuss around ultra slim devices like this. There's also a new camera array on the back of this phone, so it's going to look different from your traditional iPhones. It is a camera array that sort of spans the whole width of the phone, not unlike modern Google Pixel devices, actually. It's very reminiscent of that, but of course much thinner. Screen size 6.5 inches, and it comes with a brand new processor on the inside, a new chip called the A19 Pro that is going to power the new iOS 26 software, as well as a range of artificial intelligence features that Apple bundles under the Apple Intelligence branding.
So just the dumb old non-techie in me is wondering, if you have a really, really thin phone, does that affect your capacity, your storage, does it affect what you can put on the phone?
The big concern, actually, more so than storage, is actually battery life, right? Because when you shrink the frame or the body of a device, that allows for less room for the battery. They're quoting all-day battery life here. They haven't actually said a number specifically yet in terms of like how many hours on this thing we'll be able to do. Of course, we're going to have to wait until this gets into the hands of actual reviewers to really make a sort of judgment on that. But Apple has been burned by this type of thing before, guys. If you think back to the iPhone mini, the small version of the iPhone that only lasted for 2 generations, well, the first generation of that really was raked over the coals for having pretty poor battery life. And that was just because of its size, right? Battery technology was not efficient enough at the time to, have really robust battery life in that small of a package, in addition to all the stuff that battery now needs to support, from, very fancy software to camera technology and now artificial intelligence and the rest of it. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle this. In fact, actually, as we're talking right now, they are claiming 40 hours of video playback on the phones that they're describing right now, although they may have moved on to the pro-level phones, which it appears that they may have. It's unclear what I'm looking at right now. But in any event, they are the battery life, I think, will ultimately be determined by the reviewers who actually get a chance to play with these things in the real world.
I got to ask, how much is this going to cost?
So they have not quoted a price yet. The base level iPhone, we don't have a price for those either. That usually is revealed at the very end of these discussions. That is going to be a big question. Right now, guys, also they're talking about a strap that you can put this thing into and like wear around your kind of chest like a bandolier. Anyway, I'm getting distracted by what's going on the screen right now. But pricing, the tariff discussion here does hang over this discussion in a pretty big way. Will that affect the price of new iPhones? There has been some speculation that they might bump up the price of the pro-level phones, specifically the really expensive ones, which already go for like $1,200 to start in some cases. Base-level phones may not, be as affected, and Apple really does want to preserve that market in a pretty big way because they have already sold 3 billion iPhones so far. They don't want to really impact that market positioning just yet with a huge price hike. But again, the larger trade environment might have something else to say about that.
Last question, Mike, and you can answer this quickly if it helps. Are there going to be updates to other Apple products like AirPods, Apple Watch?
There already have been, as a matter of fact. They started with the kind of ancillary stuff and then moved on to the main event, which was the iPhone. So we've already gotten new AirPods Pro. These are the nicer version of their in-ear earbuds. Those have the same price as last year, $249, and they come with a new heart rate sensor. So you can actually measure your heart rate through your earbuds. Imagine that, guys. That's a pretty interesting thing, using accelerometers and AI and a bunch of stuff that they are working with there. 3 new Apple Watches as well, a new Series 11, which is kind of the mainline one. That comes with a new hypertension sensor to measure high blood pressure. They say that they hope to get 1 million alerts out there for people who don't know they have hypertension within the first year, although that feature does still need approval by the FDA. There's a new Apple Watch Ultra, which is the really fancy one. That's the expensive $800, kind of meant for pro-level, outdoor adventurer types. There's a new version of that. And then there's a new entry-level Apple Watch as well. well the SE3. That goes for $249 and maintains its aluminum design. There was some speculation that would move over to a plastic design, but nope, they're keeping the aluminum. There's a new outdoor onboard speaker, so you can play music through it. 18 hours of battery life, they say, and some new gesture controls, which are trickling down from the nicer phone. So you can kind of dismiss a phone call by just flicking your wrist on now the cheapest iPhone.
Thanks so much for joining us, Mike. That was Mike Dubusky, ABC's technology reporter. That's super interesting, right? It's always fun to see the new tech products, and some of them are just like, wow, that's really amazing. Okay, today, it is Teddy Bear Day. It's Tuesday, Teddy Bear Day. So what were teddy bears named after? Do you know that story?
Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah, it was Teddy Roosevelt, right? So it's
I don't remember why, but
kind of a sad story, actually, sad and touching. So he was a big game hunter, but he had been out on a hunt and had not been able to shoot a bear. So his people caught a bear and tied the bear to a tree for him to shoot, and he wouldn't do it. He said that is not fair, and so they have this teddy bear.
He's a teddy bear, yeah.
Yeah, right. So they have that too. So it's also National Ants on a Log Day. Do you know what those were? Do you remember those from when you were a kid? It's celery sticks with peanut butter and raisins. So the raisins look like little ants marching down the log.
So ants on a log day.
Yeah.
And you think that's what it's for? Not really.
Oh
ants.
no, it
really,
is for real. It's for the snack that's called ants on a log. So any mom who's ever had to entertain her kids knows what ants on a log are.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So I have to tell you this date. So on this day in 1890, Harlan Sanders was born. Colonel Sanders, that's right. He was the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken. He started his first restaurant out of a service station, but that was not his first occupation. He served in the military, but he was not a colonel, by the way. He worked as a farmhand. He served as a local midwife, which is really funny to me. He even studied law. But one of the things that's super interesting, two things, I guess, super interesting about Colonel Sanders. Where was his first KFC?
I think it was in South Salt Lake.
Yeah, it was in South Salt Lake in 1952, which means he was 62 years old when he opened that. So hooray for those of us who start new careers when we turn 60.
At advanced stage, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I remember seeing that one particular one. It says America's
the first one. Yeah, people don't believe that. And then one final one, Esther Cleveland was born on this day in 1893 in the White House. She was born to President Grover Cleveland and First Lady Frances Folsom Cleveland during her father's second presidency. She is the only child ever actually born inside the White House.
Oh, literally in the White House?
Literally born in the White House. Yep.
Because you wonder if
they had midwives.
Not very many presidents had children.
Yeah, that's
while
right.
They were
being
president.
born while they were president. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So she was the first one born to an incumbent U.S. president. There were only two others. And the only one to actually physically be born in the White House.
Well, there you go. Are you going to go get your Apple Watch this afternoon?
Maybe Christmas time.
There you go. There you go. Well, the Department of Justice has